Uh, what is this now? Why am I being called George? Hmm? Why am I being called George? You guys get so bored, but so uncreative. It's a crazy combination. All right, guys. This is a video that we've wanted to do for a bit. Slow mode is on? Oh hell no. We're not ruining this stream with slow mode, that's for sure. At least not until it gets too unruly. Alright, slow mode is off. Everybody go crazy. Brandon King says Gorge Joestar. There was in fact a JoJo, I think his name was Jorge Joestar, who sucked because he didn't have Nen or anything. Not Nen. I'm sorry, I just watched Hunter x Hunter. It's Hamon, which is like the same thing as what Nen was at the beginning, and then Nen got complicated. But he didn't have stands, he didn't have anything. He could just fly planes. So Araki kind of skipped over that guy. Kind of just wanted to fly his planes and shit. All right. It's cringing time. It's cringing time. All right, so here's what's up. First, everybody like the stream. Everybody like the stream. The stream should be at least at 200 likes, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I think there's no one else's opinion to be heard here, so my opinion's the one we're going to run with. Fortnite Pro 123 says, hey, Morg. Thanks, but it's Jorg. Behenort says, if you'll be watching Whole Cake Island analysis, will you use it as an opportunity to explain why Whole Cake is better than Wano? Parentheses, because it is. Okay, so Whole Cake Island is not a cringe video to watch. We're going to play it by ear a little bit. I was going to go take it from the top and maybe we decide a little bit basically on what we want to watch. I was going to go all the way back to the beginning, back to the pilot, as they say, and just start with baby Morj, young baby-faced Morj. Not that I'm not still quite young and youthful. This is going to be a shitty stream. All right. Younger Morj, even more baby-faced, even more youthful than, if that's even possible. I would tell you guys the secret of my youth, but I don't. That's classified information. I can't just be handing that shit out. So even younger Morj, we're gonna go check out even younger Morj when he was a wee little boy making his first analysis videos. But we can also check out the better stuff like Whole Cake Island analysis, etc. I don't know if Whole Cake Island analysis holds up. I don't know. I haven't looked back at that. Ivan back from the card shop says first raid fail vid George. That one's gonna hurt, but we can probably go over that. But I don't know if we're gonna. It might hurt too much. It might be too painful. Sometimes you don't want to take certain trips down memory lane, you know? You want to just avoid certain dark alleys on memory lane because there's nothing but trouble down there. There's some dark silhouettes you see in the shadows and stuff, and it looks like they want to put a hurt on you, you know? Rico Suave says, how are you today, Morj? P.S. Check out the movie RRR on Netflix. It's a new Tollywood film. No, I'm not watching Tollywood. Remarkably fun to watch and great storytelling. No, Tollywood is like what Bollywood makes fun of, which means it's really bad. For the record, Bollywood gets a bad rap because of the memes and stuff that go out, but that's not entirely fair, because it's like, if you took the worst of Hollywood movies and just spread that shit around, you know, like Morbius became, right? If you took the worst lines and stuff out of Hollywood, there's so much stuff you could take out of Hollywood movies that, like, you know, if you just spread that shit around, then it's like, to people from some other country, they'd be like, oh, Hollywood movies must be terrible. And to be honest, for the most part, they generally are. But you know what I mean, like, terrible. Bollywood is overall, like, it's a nice mixed bag. I'm not gonna defend every Bollywood movie, but Bollywood movies, there's definitely some really good Bollywood movies out there. They're just bogged down by certain things at times, you know? But there's some really good Bollywood movies out there. Rash Sin says, Water 7 and East Lobby sales were not good. Actually, the only arc in pre-time skip when sales dipped instead of increasing. It didn't recover until Thriller Bark. Not true. You can go back and look at volume sales. That was where they began to peak, around that 2008 period. Mr. Crescent says, agreed. I've watched a couple with my friends. Some are actually really good. All right. Do you have any ones you really want to shout out? I don't know what to say. If I had to throw out, See, I haven't seen like classic Bollywood movies since I was young. But like Om Shanti Om was one of my favorites when I was like in middle school, elementary school. I forget exactly when I watched it. Aliato5 says, Mr. Mank. Thanks. What had a better resolution, Onigashima or Morj's shoulder? My shoulder. My shoulder ended well. My shoulder is at like 95%. I'm worried that it's not going to hit 100%. Because, like, I'm 26. I worry sometimes that, like, little injuries that I get nowadays, what if I just never recover from those? You know what I mean? Because, like, some people, like, as you get older, you stop recovering from shit. You know, it's kind of just, like, a lingering issue you just have. My shoulder feels really good, but it's been at 95% for like 3 weeks now. I'm like, when's that last 5% gonna happen? When am I gonna feel like literally 100% on my shoulder? I don't know. Slagger Raban says, you are by far the most well-spoken, intelligent, and low-key hilarious OP YouTuber out there. Thanks, I really appreciate that. That's not a plant by me. That's a real human being who said that, for the record. Thanks, Slagger Raban. Sheriff Lafitte says, Dr. Correa is very funny and underrated. I would love to see Dr. Correa return. She was supposed to be at the Reverie. Did we get to see her at the Reverie? I don't quite recall. Thomas Kaz says, can we watch the vid where you talked about the patterns in Strahd's fights? Dude, that video is so bad now because it's like, well, we just got the Wano arc where the fights were like, I don't know, some shit that Oda's... I don't know what assistant Oda handed the pen to write Frankie's fight, but like, that shit's out the window. Sanji's fight was good for his character, but not for a fight, I realized. Zoro's fight was solid, and Robin's fight was great. But then you got Nami. Nami's situation. It's just like, what... Going over the Strahd fights, it would just hurt because it would remind me like, oh man, yeah, the Strahds used to have like really interesting, engaging fights that had actual storytelling over the course from beginning to end. Also, I found you through and subbed to you because of the Whole Cake Island video. Okay, we can give Whole Cake Island a look. I personally don't think Whole Cake actually holds up that well nowadays, but like my video, not the arc. The arc I think holds up phenomenally. I think it's still the best New World arc in my opinion. Yasuho, thanks. Is that a reference to Part 8? Rashton says, Morj search manga sales 2008 to 2010. You're wrong. We got to do this shit now. All right. Best-selling manga by year. Let's see. Oh wait, they've got one of those YouTube videos that does the moving bars and shit too. All right, let's take a look. Should I screen share this? I guess I'll screen share this as soon as this loads. 1 second. Caleb Brown says, you're 26. You don't look a day over 18. Thank you. Thanks, Caleb Brown. Appreciate you. Yaso says, forgot to actually put my message with my last chat, but love your stuff. And I'm finally catching a stream. Thanks for all the great vids and laughs. Thank you for tuning in. Wow. Okay, this is actually hilarious because it's very easily provably wrong. All right. So let's take a look at One Piece's sales. All right. Let's pull up, what's the best way to do this? I guess this. All right. Can everyone still hear me? Nothing went wrong, right? Everyone can still hear me? All right. So I got to make this big. Make myself, what is this? Make myself over here. And then we do this. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what happens to One Piece's sales. All right, so One Piece was not the juggernaut that it was. It was good. It was doing well. This is 2002, but other shit really needs to take some time to pop off. So Naruto's on its tails, 2003, 2004. One Piece is doing good. It's doing good. But look, okay, 2005, other series catching One Piece. 2006, not looking so good for One Piece. Then, boom. What is this? What's happening here? Kind of crazy in my opinion. Wow. I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say, man. All right. Back at this. All right. We got to get to reacting to some videos. Hold on. Sheriff Lafitte says, doesn't the world government side feel a bit underpowered compared to Luffy's alliance? I wonder how Oda will rectify that. I mean, listen, we still got the SSG, right? Still got the SSG, which Oda's been hyping for some time. I think Rukogyu is looking like a really big deal because at the moment Rukogyu's, it seems like he's stronger, very clearly stronger than, multiple commanders at once, seeing as how he did against King and Queen. Then on top of that, we've got Rukogyu, Kizaru, Kainu, but on top of that, we've got like these holy knights that are being talked about, so there might be some excitement to them. CP0, which is normally not going to be that active in large scale warfare, but I imagine during the final war they would be, because that's when the actual world nobles would be threatened, so then that would force CP0's hand most likely. And I think on top of that, there's a decent chance that the Gorosei and Im in particular are actually strong. MMM26 is Zoro versus Shuten Maru vid. That's like a boring, we could go back to that, but it's like a boring vid. Behanort says, Morj, don't forget about group farting at 10 p.m. All right, we'll watch out for that. Besides that, I think we can, any questions on anything to discuss from the chapter? Here's the thing to discuss really quick from the chapter, which is just, I saw that, okay, it sounds like TCB Scans is going to be putting things, I'm missing supers. All right. I'll keep the donations tab open. So what I was planning to start doing is doing like post-chapter stuff on Thursday nights. And Mondays we still do our normal streams, and obviously we can still talk about the chapters and stuff. But Mondays would be maybe more variety-based stuff, I guess, such as reacting to this shit. I think I'm caught up on supers though. No, Kevin Culver says, do you think the raid succeeded so that Oda can have the Straw Hats big L post time skip B against Blackbeard? I would love to see that. I think that would be great. Would be a great way to establish Blackbeard as a final endgame problem. It's tricky because there's I feel like Blackbeard's going to get a big showing against Shanks most likely. That's just kind of been set up for so long. I'd be surprised if it never happens, I just think that it would be also really, really nice if Blackbeard can get the one-up on Luffy in some way along the way. It would be really cool if Blackbeard made it to the Laugh Tale first, or if Blackbeard ambushes them at Blackbeard, or manages to get some big leg up in the journey to One Piece over Luffy at some point in the story. Just because at this moment in time, it feels like Luffy is miles ahead of his competitors in terms of both strength, I would say, and in terms of just the forces that he has underneath him, the strength of his crew, and particularly how close he is to actually getting the One Piece, just because the number of things that he's collected versus everybody else, right? Yeah, I got you, Kevin. I got you. Thomas Cass says, will we get Chainsaw Man reviews? I really like Chapter 99. There's Chainsaw Man shit coming, all right? There's big-time Chainsaw Man shit coming. I'm very excited about Chainsaw Man. Trust me. If you want to see more Chainsaw Man content, you will not be disappointed. Just give it a minute. It won't be just reviews either. I have a lot I want to talk about with Chainsaw Man. Wade Turner says, why do you want Sun God Luffy to lose? I want him to win eventually. I don't want him to I want him to win eventually. I don't want him to win basically without first experiencing some sort of character, character low or character struggle or something. Things that we've come to expect from previous arcs. Caleb Brown says, we need a video on Morj Unleashed called Morj Roasts Viewers, where you show all the time you prove chatters or viewers wrong. What would be a bigger video? It would be Viewers Roast Morj, which would just be the other 90% of streams where you guys are being dicks to me. Yasuo says, Chainsaw Man will Bucky return theory video when? Will Bucky return? I don't know about that one. Factually they will. These devils, they just cycle. So I think we will see Bucky again. What would be hilarious is if something happened in the real world that made everyone start to fear chickens a lot, so then the next time Bucky comes around, it's actually he's actually broken. Sam Oguntoyinbo, sorry if I mispronounced the name. Actually, I think I nailed that really, really well. Hold on. Props to me. Sam Oguntoyinbo. I fucked it up the second time. Sam Oguntoyinbo. I hate the idea of Shanks getting no actual on-screen cool feat and reappearing just to be overcome by Blackbeard. I don't think Oda's going to do Shanks like that. I think it's tricky because you can say on the one hand, Shanks has gotten some really cool feats. It's just that they're so brief that we don't really get to see him fighting. That's part of what makes them so cool. It's like he just shows up, clashes with somebody, flexes, and then the scene ends. So that happened first with him and Whitebeard meeting back chapter like 530 something, 430 something, right? Yeah. And then obviously, the Marineford incident, he comes, stops Akainu's blow, ends the war. So it depends on if Oda views that as basically, okay, I gave Shanks the hype that he needs. Now it's time, now it's like if Blackbeard beats him, it's really exciting. I like to think that Oda's going to showcase Shanks in an actual fight, or at least some display of his abilities at least once before Shanks actually goes down. I like to think so. Let's hope. Anuj Agarwal says, as someone who's been here since basically the beginning, this won't be as cringy as the average YouTuber. Anyway, excited for a trip down memory lane. All right, let's do it. Thanks, Anuj, for getting me back on track. Yeah, I don't think it'll actually be cringe. I don't know. We'll find out. I haven't revisited. Wait, I got to start screen sharing, right? Hold on. I got to do everything. I got to do all this stuff. All right, so display. You guys need the audio. You guys need the audio. So you guys need some audio from the thing, right? Audio. Okay. Okay. Desktop. Yes. Wait, am I dumb? Oh wait, I can just turn on desktop. Okay, I don't need to do this. Hold on. I can turn on desktop audio. Fuck. Work? Do something. Desktop audio. I swear I did this before. I swear. Alright, I think we should be good. Desktop audio, maybe put it here. Maybe like this. Okay. I think this might work. I think this might be it. And let me get rid of this thing. You guys don't even know what I'm doing. Alright, let me just play some audio for you guys. Let me play some audio for you guys, and then you guys... Hold on. Let me set up something. Boomer Morj. That's pretty funny, actually. I haven't heard that one before. All right. The fandom called Rio, right? Even though the Scabbards have that. Okay. You guys tell me. Okay, can you hear this? Can you guys hear this? That their attacks are too shallow. On the flip side, Kaido praises anybody who's able to use advanced Conqueror's Haki against him. So obviously Luffy, Zoro was able to actually leave a scar because he used Ashra, which, as we now... Were you guys listening to that? You guys could hear that? What do the people have to say? Were you able to hear that? Someone tell me yes. Morj, I could send you some monitors, seriously. Yeah, okay, so a part of me is like, oh, it's part of the charm of the stream that I have a shitty tech setup. But then the other part of me is like, oh, this is really frustrating. I should just set up with extra monitors and stuff like that. Mauricio Del Val says, which Chainsaw Man devil would you make a contract with? Makima. Thomas Kaz says, did you see Nope from Jordan Peele? I was actually going to go see Nope this Friday. I missed it. Yes, louder. Yes, barely. Okay. Hold on. Wait. I understand seems to be tied to Conqueror's Haki. And then finally Kaido was fighting with Yamato, and Yamato was able to injure him. So it does seem like for a lot of these top tier characters, Kaido before and now Green Bull, to really, really be able to inflict any sort of meaningful damage that, affects them, Advanced Conqueror's Haki does seem to be important, right? Obviously, that's leaving out things like Devil Fruits, like the Gura Gura no Ni, or powerful Logias, or things like that. And I'm sure that you don't need to have Advanced Conqueror's Haki to do it, but at the very least, if Haki's all you're working with, it looks like Advanced Conqueror's Haki is this is right. All right. So, that's an interesting little tidbit that kind of stood out to me from their interaction. More importantly, we got an idea of what Green Bull is like. Okay. That's good. Good. All right. Good stuff. Who says I can't set shit up? Yeah, I'm going to try and get another monitor just soon. I should have gotten it a long time ago. It's just that, to me, it's just clutter. I'd like avoiding extra clutter if I can, but I understand why it's useful, Like, I wouldn't use two monitors on a day-to-day basis. I would just use it for streams, but whatever. All right, everybody. Like the stream. Let's all like the stream before we get into it. Let's like the stream. Parvision says, Morj is the greatest streamer alive, confirmed. Like Mr. Morj's stream. Everyone listen to Parvision. If you won't listen to Morj, listen to Evil Morj. Thanks, Parvision. Maybe I might lower it slightly. All right, is everybody liking the stream? Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening? Everyone's liking the stream? All right. Phantom Grey for us says Evil Morj just turning to the good side. Can't have that. Relax Romby says, guys, who is stronger, Zoro or Yamato? I'm actually interested. Let me throw out a poll before we get into it. Who is stronger? Zoro or Yamato? I actually don't think that there's like a terribly wrong answer here just because we don't know. I think that it either is completely possible, basically, at this moment in time. I'd say this. If Yamato joins the crew, then I'm going to assume Zoro's stronger. If Yamato doesn't join the crew, then that actually puts it more up in the air. Because I don't think Oda's ever going to have someone in the crew that's stronger than Zoro. I also don't think Oda's going to have someone in the crew that's stronger than Sanji. I think that trio is very important. So if Yamato joins, then I think that that's by default. I'm just going to assume Yamato below Zoro, right? If Yamato doesn't join, then I think it's more open-ended, and it's like, we don't know. Unrivaled says, Mr. Jorv pro streamer. Yes, I am a pro streamer. Thank you. Some of these people don't respect me in that category, but whether you like it or not, I'm technically a professional streamer in a way. Eatham says, Morj Unleashed is cool, but when are we getting Morj Leashed? That's just the normal Morj channel. What are you talking about? Supreme Pirate King says, Zoro scarred Kaido. When Yamato hit Kaido, he walked it off easy, lol. Yeah, that's true. That's true, but then, like, I'm not you guys know I hate Yamato, right? You guys, I'm not being biased at all when I say this. All I can say is that Zoro hit Kaido with basically his strongest attack and scarred him. Yamato had a clash with Kaido where she held her own. Obviously, Kaido probably not going all out or whatever, but Yamato fought Kaido for a longer, like, one-on-one for a longer period of time and clashed with Kaido. And similarly, it's like Zoro scarred Kaido, which is a really, really big deal. I'm not trying to underplay that whatsoever. But it's also it's not a fair comparison because, like, Yamato is not going to scar Kaido with a club. I don't think anyone scars, in the technical sense. In the real world, obviously, we can scar each other with shit like clubs and stuff like that. But I'm saying in the One Piece verse, I think clubs are generally treated more as blunt objects, Like, it's the same way Luffy's not going to scar Kaido with a punch, things like that. So, and you're right. Zoro hit Kaido. Kaido at least came to his knees. So I think the one attack Zoro got in on Kaido, that was a big deal. And that probably was one of the most damaging attacks to Kaido that he experienced throughout the entire fight against anybody. 100%. Agree with that. But you also have to give Yamato props for, like, actually fighting Kaido by herself for an extended period of time. Having a Conqueror's Haki clash with Kaido. It's just the feats fall in different categories and stuff, in my opinion. So, it's hard to compare, Because Yamato basically did what, like, Luffy was doing against Kaido for a period of time, post 1010. You know what I mean? So Zoro had, like, a really, really high peak moment, but we didn't get to see much more of that with him against Kaido. And that was also Ashura Zoro. So it's like, are we assuming Zoro can use Ashura regularly? Or are we talking about the Zoro that was fighting King down below? Because those are two different discussions, That's just, I don't know. If I would not be surprised if it's Zoro at all. I just think that there's an argument you can make either way. Mauricio Del Val says Yamato's got stronger thighs. Yes, she most definitely does. Yasuo says Zoro almost died fighting a fire chicken. That's one way to put it. It's not a good look that King just got, like, low diffed by Green Bull casually. That's something that I personally didn't like to see, which is just that, like, both Zoro and Sanji's opponents were basically, immediately after being defeated, because we, the reader, I think a lot of people never really came to respect King and Queen over the course of the arc, and then they got their fights against Zoro and Sanji, and I want to feel really excited that Zoro and Sanji beat a first and second commander. But then, immediately after that, they're being treated basically by fodder by Green Bull. To me, like, it almost takes away from their accomplishment a little bit. It would be kind of like, look, when Zoro beat Das Bones in Alabasta, I know Das Bones isn't the strongest fighter around or whatever. I know there's plenty of characters that can beat the fuck out of Das Bones. But I don't need to see that happen. Like, after Zoro had such a dramatic fight against Mr. One in Alabasta, I don't need to see like the next thing that's happening with Mr. One is like, I don't know, like Hina showing up and like one-shotting him. I guess that's kind of what happened to Mr. Two, but I'm just saying like that's basically something that I prefer doesn't happen, I guess, over the course of the story, you know? Like I like when characters have a really meaningful victory against like an opponent or something like that. I'm like, leave that opponent alone for a bit so that we get more, you know, satisfaction out of the idea that this character that we care about, Zoro, overcame that obstacle. At least that's just like a me personal thing. Like after Zoro beat Kaku, I don't need to see like the next scene over being like, I don't know, some vice admiral just like stomping on like just beating the fuck out of Kaku and Jaibura with like one hand tied behind their back or something like that. But that's like a minor thing, you know what I mean? Same with like Katakuri. I guess I've made my point. Like once if a character gets a big win, let them sit on, like, don't disrespect the opponent too soon. Give it a minute, I guess. Aztec Device says, hypothetically react to your last video. React to my last video? My last video is just a chapter review. What do you want me to do? Skylar, one sec. Skylar Galusha says, Akainu scarred Luffy with a punch. Yeah, you're right, he did. I guess I'm wrong. Nah, I'm with you, though. Also, Nope was pretty good, I thought. More Monkey than I bargained for, no spoilers. What does that mean? Alright. Let's react to some other stuff. Let's react to some stuff. If I get copyright struck for this, I mean, this is my own, these are my videos, right? I feel like I should not be, there's no reason I should be copyright struck for this, right? Let me move myself over here. Hold on. Let me move myself over here. Where's the chat box? Okay, this way, I think everything should be good. I think everything should be good like this. All right. So we're in the Morj channel. Let's take a trip down memory lane. This will be interesting for me. So, for the record... Oh, wait, I need chat. I need my chat up. Hold on. I knew I was forgetting something. I need chat up. It's like, how do I see you guys? I don't have another monitor or anything. All right. Udana Uchegbu says, you got to understand that both King and Queen were not at 100% against Green Bull. They were injured. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I can headcanon that being the case. It's also been like a week. I could pretend that that's the case. You know what I mean? It's something that I would love to see implied in the story. You know? Just implied in the... It kind of like... Okay, here's my quick example, which is when the revolutionaries fought the admirals, right? And then we saw a little bit later on, okay, Fujitora was injured. He had a bandage around his head, right? So we got the news, revolutionaries fought the admirals. And then a little bit later, we're seeing, okay, Fujitora... he got some scrapes, some injuries or something over the course of that encounter. A lot of people use that revolutionaries versus admirals encounter to power scale or whatever. And some people were of the opinion that, look, the admirals probably couldn't go all out because of the location that they were in, things like that. That was something that was said somewhat frequently, but at the time we had nothing to really confirm that. I like the fact that Oda in this recent chapter did come out and have characters specifically say, yeah, the admirals couldn't do everything that they potentially could do because they were a little bit restricted based on the location that they were in, which was the Holy Land of Marijua. So I like that. I prefer when it's not just something that we have to pretend or assume. So, like, to me, it's like 1 week's time. That's a good amount of time before, you know, I mean, I believe that the Straw Hats are pretty much healed right now. Queen didn't exactly, like, take that much damage, you know. King didn't, like, King maybe he did. It's hard to say. Bill said, could Green Bull's fruit have a connection to the Adam and Eve trees? I mean, Green Bull was hyping the hell out of his fruit last chapter, talking about how it's like a force of nature comparable to the power of the sea and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know if Green Bull is going to be that important beyond just being a strong fighter, but would love to have that. I'm surprised. Would love to have that, would love to have him surprise me. Kushim Nakurji says, because the entire chat asked for it, hashtag Flame Emperor Oof. What's going on? No, we're not turning Oof into some sort of a heroic martyr. Oof is not the Sabo of this stream. That would make me a Kainu or Im or something like that. No. Also, funnily enough, Saba video coming out tomorrow. Mauricio Del Val says, the Jack versus Luffy vid, I beg you. We can put that on the docket. I'll play it by ear. I want to start at the beginning, and then from there, you guys can kind of pick and choose what we're doing. Ippo Takamura says, people forget Queen held his own against Big Mom. Amnesia or not, still got to give him props. Yeah. Yeah, depends what you mean held your own. Ivan back from the card shop says, you think Rikogyu character is a bit on the nose. First words on screen were that Akainu is cool and people have no rights, almost as racist as Zoro. Yeah, I think some people were saying that the writing for Green Bull's dialogue was like really good or something, and I was like, is it really good? Or is it just kind of like the most by the numbers shit you'd expect from like a hardcore admiral bought in Marine soldier? Like, I think it was good in that, to clarify, I think it was good in that it establishes who he is, what he's about, and makes it very clear where he stands on things and everything. I don't think it was particularly like, to me, it was like, yeah, it's not nuanced at all, but that's the point. What else is there really to say about it, you know? Like, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just like, yeah, it was like very, very blatantly bad guyish, bought into, you know, higher powers, what do you call, dogma, etc. Aztec Device says, nope, spoiler, I had a great time, very good, can you do an analysis? If you do, I'll subscribe to your Patreon. You're basically saying, can I do a full ass nope analysis for like $5? Like, I appreciate you joining the Patreon, but you know, the movie ticket on its own is probably gonna be like $20. I'll watch Nope on my own time, and I'll probably talk about it in stream at some point. Let's get into it. I've been saying that for a minute now. Let's get into it. Yeah, Drusser's saying Rikogyu's dialogue is pretty basic. Yeah, but I think that was the point. So I don't think there's much to say there. Like, I don't think it was like brilliant writing, but I think it was good for what it was supposed to establish about his character. So, and I for the record, I liked last chapter quite a bit, mainly the Shanks section. I think last chapter had a bit of everything. It had a bit of action, some power scaling stuff, establishing Green Bull's character a little bit more. You know, then we have the Shanks section, which I think is one of the better paced, more weighty sections of storytelling that we've had in a minute. And had me, especially that last page of that scene, that got me a little excited, for sure. And then some not world building, but larger plot teasing stuff with the Sabo situation. Right? I liked last chapter quite a bit. All right, let's get into it. Wait, no, I was supposed to pop out chat. That's what I was doing. You guys trying to make me forget. All right. So if I move chat here, how does this work? Let's forget this. Okay, this is it. This is the situation. All right. This is how we do it. Brandon King says, even if you kill Oof, his will live on. When does a user die? It's when they're forgotten. Guys, forget about Oof. Let's stop talking about him. Let him die. Let the man rest in peace. Enough of this. All right. Yeah, it's time. It's Morjin time. Okay. This is one of the more complicated things I've ever done. The only time I did a reaction really before this was obviously Chainsaw Man, but reacting to videos, I did the Grand Line thing, and at that point I didn't even activate the desktop audio. So you guys have to listen through my mic. Bladock says, Evil Morj trying to discredit and slander Oof is the first step before he joins the world government. Who says I'm not already the world government? All right. I actually don't want to do these. I mean, do I have to? Do I have to? I'm allowed to pick and choose a little bit, right? Okay, let's do some context, right? So these aren't even just the first One Piece videos. There's also a channel called Morj Archives where I have some of the older ones saved. The ones that I thought were too bad, so I got rid of them. But let's take a look. Well, what do we want me to watch first? Let's ease into it. Okay, I'm not going to watch one of the older analysis videos. Let me watch one which is, I think, where's my face pop up the first time? I'm pretty sure it's this one.
Incredibly well structured.
All right. Who remembers this? You guys remember this intro? This takes me back. Okay, what do we rate the intro? What do we rate the intro, right? What do we rate the intro? I think it's a good intro, but I think it's also very low level. You know what I mean? It's like a low level intro that that it was good for its time. It was good for its time. Do you know how Alabatia says Morj peaked there? Just with the intro, that was it. Everything after the intro is downhill. 7, 2.75, 100 out of 10. All right, I'm going to take the 10 out of 10s, ignore the rest. All right, let's keep it rolling. The intro's failed. Very cheesy, kind of love it. Yeah, it's got, what's funny is that the intro has no theme whatsoever. It's just like some generic, if you go watch like a Brago de Ace intro, right? If you watch like a BDA Law thing, it's got like Katakuri, Doflamingo having a clash or some shit, or like something, like other people have like some One Piece related shit. I think Rogers Base had like One Piece logos and stuff popping up. This is just, you don't really know what the video's about at all. This is some, I don't know what font it is, some word art shit. All right, let's move on.
What's up, everyone? This is a special video because you all get to see my face for the first time.
Oh, I haven't aged a day. I look exactly the same.
I'm just experimenting with the...
This was the setup before. All right. So, you guys think this was my room? No, this was not my room. This was my sister's room. Because I don't know why I would film here. Because she was in college at the time. So I was like, I'll just use this room. Because I didn't want to use my room for some reason. I was like, I don't want people seeing the background of my room. I'm just like a private person. I don't want people seeing like the background of my room. So I was like, let me just go use this room. And then I would go, the only One Piece related thing I would do is, you see this little figurine? I would go move the figurine right here. I would take the figurine from my room. That's the only piece of One Piece merch I used to own. Now I don't even have that. And I would just go put it right here and be like, now we gotta set up. Caleb Brown says, OMG, Morj, you sounded happy back then. I'm happy now. How much happier do I need to sound? Supreme Pirate King says, back before Morj could grow a beard. No, I could grow a beard pretty good back then too. This was, okay, context right now. What year is this? This is 2017. I've just graduated college. College, I would have a beard on off. It's just I grow beards more frequently nowadays. Oh, is my face cam blocking the stream? What about, where do I move it? Where should it be? I guess it's just back here. I'll put it here. All right. Is it better now? Nick Barster says you sound more cynical now. I wonder why that is. Crazy. So, this was me post-college. I had nothing to do. I had just moved back home. Not a care in the world. I was like, let me make some One Piece videos. And that's it. I didn't even know about the broader One Piece YouTube community. 100% honesty. Like, I didn't watch other people back then. I started watching other people's videos when I was like, I don't know, 6 months or so in. Bottom right corner? Should I move it? No, if I move it to bottom right corner. What? You guys are... What do you mean I'm blocking chat? Isn't chat like... You guys are lying. Chat's here. If I move it to the bottom right corner, then I'm blocking chat. Do I make myself smaller? I'll make myself smaller. How about this small? No. Come on now. I'm not blocking chat. What are you talking about? Oh, okay. This should be good now. I figured it out. I think we should be good. This should be good. All right. Do we like this setup? Behanort says, so Morj is 28? No, terrible math. I'm 26. I'm 26. Christian McCurdy says, no, move it to the bottom right. They're right. They're not right. There's no way they're right. If they were right, they would be running the stream. Think about that. Okay, let me... Yes. No, it's a mess. Abdul Razak, thank you. This dude, bottom left. Why do you have 2 chats on stream? What the fuck? Because I need to read one of the chats. And I don't have another monitor. Am I supposed to just talk into the void? I don't get a chat. So this is nice. This is what you guys want. You guys want to be able to see all of the chats. I have to just speak blindly. Can't see anything. Okay, fine. Let's move it to the bottom right corner. Let's see how stupid this looks. So if I move my face to the bottom right corner, well, it's the same thing, right? What's the difference? What's the difference between top right corner and bottom right corner? Don't do it's a mess, bro. It's bad. Turn the big chat off. Which one's the big chat? What do you guys think is the big chat? Oh, I get the issue right now. Hold on. I see why there might be an issue. Okay, hold on. So what if we moved this? Okay. The real what? Shit, I need another monitor. Can someone get me a monitor like right now? ASAP. I need a monitor literally right now. Okay, so my face is here. So we're going to do this. Hold on. I got it. Chat's going to be moved here. And I think that basically does the trick. Right? That basically does the trick. This is it. So now there's 2 chats. We're good. That's the good chat. Which one do you guys consider the good chat? For me, I consider the good chat the one that I can see. I consider it the one that I can see. Why? Because it's the one that I can see. I don't know which one you guys consider the good chat. Trey Phillips says, I think you should just turn our chat off. Wait, I guess, yeah, I could turn you guys' chat off because you guys could still see it, right? Just turn off the chat. Yeah. Wait, this is a brilliant idea. Okay. So I turned this one off, and then we're good to go. This is basically it. This is it. All right. Turn off green. All right. How old is BDA Law? Like 48 or some shit. He's how old you guys think I am. No lie, when Brago showed up, he brought when Brago showed up to DreamCon, he brought his son and his son's son. He brought his grandkids, and they kind of just hung around for the first day. And then we're like, Brago, this is too much, man. You can't bring your grandkids to DreamCon. So then he had to send them back on a flight. This is no lie. You can ask Brago on his stream. He will confirm it. He brought his grandkids. His grandkids were like 10, 11 years old. You know, nothing crazy, but still. Cherry Blossom Queen says, what? Brago is that old? Yeah, it's a shocker. Yeah, he's got grandkids. They were running around the house. We're like, Brago, why are these grandkids here? He's like, I just gotta I love him so much. I gotta take care of him. All right. Caleb Brown says, wouldn't be a Morj stream without some tech diffs. Yeah, what was the... Okay, we're back to this. All right, let's do it. Kushan Mukherjee says, this is cap. You weren't there, so you wouldn't know. Mr. Armageddon says, wow, I've never seen this old cringe video of Morj. Okay, Mr. Armageddon says, wow, I've never seen this old cringe video of Morj setting up his stream before. Wait, it says this video is live. Yeah, okay, so we could do it. At some point, we can do a stream of me reacting to old streams, because I feel like that'll be more fun, to be honest. Okay, let's try and get through this fucking video. Ipu Takamura says Brago is tenure. Brago was one of actually the original people who helped invent tenure as a concept in this country. He was around back then. All right.
Format of my videos a little. So for this one, I'm going to be mixing images with me speaking. Now last video I talked about videos a little. So for this one, I'm going to be mixing images with me speaking.
This was a big step in retrospect. I didn't know what videos would get more views, me in front of the camera or just images and stuff. I quickly realized after this video that doing videos in front of the camera is way more easily replicable but way more easily replicable. But it's also like it's a less high quality video at the end of the day. I prefer my videos that have all images. Theater mode. I didn't know people actually use theater mode, but I can do that.
Last video I talked about the concept.
Terra Sai says RIP Morj's hairline. No, come on. Let's not start with that shit. What are you talking about? I have so much. Guys, I'm going to end the stream. Sheriff Lafitte says, which theory do you wish came true? No raid fail. If not for the raid fail, then not for the raid fail. I don't even remember. What other theories that? Oh, at least Kaido getting back. Like, something along the train of the raid failing. So, like, Kaido getting back up, Kaido having awakening, something like that. Alright. Let's go. Papa Dogsucker says, oh my god, I just realized his hairline has receded. No! Okay. Time out. Now I'm angry. My hairline... What are you... How? No, it's just a different hairstyle. It's just a different. This guy's hair versus my hair. His hair is just leaning forward. I could make my hair lean forward more. I could make it lean forward. We're like twins. This guy and me, we're like the same. There we go. All right. Yeah? Is this right? Let's take a look. Oh my god. We're like the same. All right. This isn't right because you guys would have nothing to say about my hairline if you didn't see this guy. This fucker just has this guy just has a fucking garden growing on his head. I'm being compared to something that's like an unfair benchmark.
Of the king. In this video, I want to break down the path to Pirate King. Now, from the very start of the story, we're told that the Grand Line is basically like a giant tournament, where the strong pirates live and move on, and the weak fall off. Now, we are starting to see that Oda has crafted an incredibly well-structured and honestly realistic sense of competition.
Was my voice more high-pitched back then? It sounded a little bit different. Pre-Wano versus post-Wano.
In his world. It's like the prize or trophy is One Piece.
Dude, I had to do all of the edits back then. You see this? You see what, like, it's just a black screen with, like, some random football image here? 2 times speed, please? Yeah, let's do that. I'm bored of this guy.
And the title of Pirate King is the same as Champion. Now, the path to Pirate King can be plotted in 2 ways, upwards and forwards. So just the setting of the Grand Line is the perfect representation of Oda's idea. Reverse Mountain is the starting point, and once you're in, you move forward towards the end of the Grand Line, towards the final goal, One Piece. Moving forward in the Grand Line and getting closer to One Piece is the same as metaphorically climbing upwards towards the top of the pirate world. So to climb...
Everything I'm saying here is true. I was so much... You're right. I think I don't want to say happier then, but like there's like an innocence here where I'm just like happy to be talking about One Piece. No agendas, no nothing. Caleb Brown says, hold on, guys. We were almost at Bald Morj era. God damn it.
And it's a journey. Now, among all the competition for Pirate King, at the very, very bottom, we have the no-hosts. We are introduced to them at the very beginning of the series. These are the guys who never even had a chance. Some big shot in East Blue like Don Krieg is actually just a dime a dozen, just a nobody pirate who has no idea what the actual level of competition for Pirate King is like. They're the big fishes in small ponds. They're the guys who aren't special but don't know it yet. And right off the bat, Luffy's able to easily pick them off because he actually has that talent, that potential to move onwards.
1.5. Let's do 1.5. Because you guys aren't sharp enough to pick up on this shit, but I am. Sheriff Lafitte says, who's the James Harden of the One Piece world? The James Harden of the One Piece world, that's probably like, maybe like Big Mom or something like that.
Now, along the way, Luffy starts facing some guys with real ability and ambition. But the Grand Line is considered the pirate's graveyard for a reason. And just as we see Luffy as a hotshot young talent with a big dream of becoming Pirate King, Oda makes sure to make the climb to the top feel very real by giving us plenty of examples of failed Luffys along the way. Those other guys who also dream big, who look like they had the potential, the talent, the drive, the ambition, but ultimately fell short. We are shown the dark parallels of what Luffy could become, the pitfalls on the path to Pirate King. and the seriousness of his undertaking is really put into perspective. It's no coincidence that every Shichibukai Luffy beat wanted to become Pirate King themselves originally. Guys like Crocodile and Moria tried to...
Yeah, I like this quite a bit, which is that towards the very beginning of the story, we start with characters like, you know, like a Don Krieg or a Buggy, like characters that are like, I'm going to become Pirate King, but they're not even close to the point of realizing how far they... Buggy, we got more context later on, but like, you know, like a Don Krieg, like an Arlong, like they're talking about how they want to go make big waves in the world and stuff. And at this point in time, we're just like meeting characters that have literally no hope whatsoever, but they're too weak to even know. You could even say like maybe it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, but in the One Piece world, right? So a lot of these fodderish pirates, right, that we meet at various early points throughout the story, they think that they're going to be the next big thing. They think that they're the strongest around, whatever. And they literally know too little of the larger scope of the world to have any idea what the actual climb to Pirate King is like, or like how much further off they are. So I like that, but then I really like the fact that we then start meeting characters like a Crocodile or like a Moria. I think the Shichibukai were great for this purpose, which is just showing us characters who got fucked up in the New World and then were sent packing back to the Grand Line, and basically we're seeing people who've been there, done that, and know actually how hard it is, and they're trying to explain to Luffy that no, you can't do it. And one of my favorite things about Marineford is that it showed that like, obviously we the viewer, the reader, know that Luffy has what it takes, that these guys don't, etc. Luffy's gonna succeed where they didn't. But I loved Marineford and Sabaody, everything during that stretch, because it proved that everything we were being told about Pirate King and told about the New World and told about the actual level of etc. was actually correct. It was all true. That's what I like about it so much. Everything that those guys were saying was correct. Crocodile is right. Like, you don't know the level of this world. Where does he say it?
It's no coincidence he could become. But...
yeah, the better you know about the level in the sea, the hazier such dreams will become. I love stuff like that. In the past, I was filled with overestimation and aspiration for my own power. I love that stuff because it is all true. Like, Luffy finds all that shit out in the course of Sabaody to Marineford. And by the end of Marineford, he's basically the same as these guys. He's like, I'm no Pirate King, I'm still weak. And if Luffy didn't have his crew, then maybe he does actually end up, he's not ever going to be a Shichibukai or something like that, but we don't know what happens to Luffy. It's hard to imagine a world, like, imagine Luffy's entire crew died. So imagine at Sabaody, Luffy's entire crew died, and Ace also died. What happens to Luffy after that? It'd be very interesting to see.
Wanted to become Pirate King themselves originally, world, and then sent running back to paradise. But they're still big dreamers. They're left to futilely plot and scheme and try and fantasize ways of somehow getting back in the race for Pirate King. So far, this category is represented by Doflamingo, a gatekeeper of sorts. Someone on the cusp of reaching the top and is close to becoming a contender, but ultimately you know he's not making it to the top. That he's...
Ivan back from the card shop said, Miss Super Chat from me. My man really used the Sanji profile pic for the channel with all the content that's too bad to watch, the disrespect. It was just the natural order, the cascading order of, you know, the main channel has the Luffy-based logo. Then where the stream's going to go, okay, let's just walk down the line. Let's do Zoro next. All right, that's the Zoro channel. Okay, but now what about the archives? We need a third channel for this. Okay, let's just keep walking down the line. Sanji's up next. There was a good point that Morj Unleashed could have been Usopp based, but I think we had a discussion about that. We thought that it'd be cooler if it's just like playing on the red eyes, you know, that meme that goes around of me sometimes, you know. Morj talking about the raid fail, and it's like me with the red eyes and stuff like that. Who's the James Harden of the One Piece world? Did I give an answer? Maybe Big Mom. Yeah, I think I said Big Mom. Banwart says, so where does Buggy fit into this? To me, his joke is that he's one of these blue villains and all of them got forgotten, even Arlong, but not him. Somehow Universe insists on keeping him relevant. I mean, Buggy's a gag character, so he doesn't really fit into this idea of what I'm talking about. In fact, if anything, he takes away from literally everything I'm talking about here, because in reality, it looks like you can get to the top pretty easily if you just have the right things happen to you. But for the most part, not everyone's Buggy. For most people, it's going to be more of a Moria or Crocodile type storyline. Isha says the Donning-Krieger effect. That's actually really funny. That's hilarious. Dude, I wonder. There's no chance. Oda did not base Don Krieg off of Dunning-Kruger. There's no chance. Abirdazak says, Mort, what does your shirt say? What does my shirt say? My shirt doesn't have anything on it.
Nothing compared to the real contenders. He's still going to get his dreams crushed. He's just managed to get a little further and last a little longer than the Crocodile and Moria types. And he's not going to get beat down by the top dogs because he's managed to find himself a safe, stable place in the pecking order. He knows his spot in the hierarchy, and he's not challenging the Yonku. I'm sure that there are other Doflamingos. Ben Junker says, nah, Apu is the Harden of One Piece. See, that's disrespect to Apu, because Apu became, like, he was a big deal. Like, people forget. James Harden was in the conversation for best player in the world for, like,
Like at least 2 years. At least 2 years straight. Like 2018, like James Harden was really, really, really fucking good for a bit. Like people underrate, because none of us like him. That's the thing. Nobody likes him. When nobody likes you, you're not going to get the props you kind of deserve. But everybody fucking hated James Harden. But there was a year where he was doing stupid shit. Like, he would just put up stat lines that if anybody else was doing it, everyone would be, like, really fucking hype about it. But because it was James Harden, people just, like, ignored it. They're like, oh, he scored 40 again. Like, he couldn't stop scoring 40. He would just score 40 over and over, and everyone was just like, it's just, fuck James Harden. Fuck him. Fuck that guy.
To see those exceptional, one-of-a-kind individuals who've managed to survive in the New World, who are safely positioned underneath the Yonku and still dream secretly of becoming Pirate King.
I used to say Yonku. Here's the thing. Okay, my pronunciations for a lot of stuff used to be really, really, really fucking bad. I used to say Yonku, Ryuma, or I don't even remember. I used to say Rima, Paramecia, or I don't even know how I used to pronounce these things, because now I pronounce them right. Oh, Parmecia. That's how I used to say stuff. Like, I used to say things, like, really, really incorrectly for a long time. Here's why. Because I would just read this stuff. So I'm just reading this stuff. Yonku used to be spelled Yonkou. To me, that sounds like Yonku. That's why I said it like that. All right? I didn't actually communicate or talk with other people in the One Piece, like the YouTube sphere. You know, I didn't really watch the anime or anything like that. So I'm just reading out and pronouncing the pronunciations how I see them. You know, so to me, I thought that I was just correct about all this stuff. And then people would just complain about it in all the comments. Like, why does he say Yonku so much? I used to say manga. I used to say manga all the time. And, like, I was proud of that. Because, okay, there's, like, a transition that happened, okay? I knew I had turned into, like, a full-blown weeb when I started saying manga subconsciously without even thinking about it. I used to say manga like a normal person who's not super into Japanese shit. Right? It's like, hey, you know what a manga is? Yeah, kinda. It's that Japanese hentai thing, right? No, not necessarily. It's not hentai. I don't know why I'm voicing out this whole conversation, but that's, you know, this is something that, you know, it's if you're in a non-weeb universe, this is what a normal conversation, I guess, goes like, oh, I covered this manga called One Piece. Manga. Oh, I kind of heard about that. That's like the Japanese stuff. Yeah, it's like Japanese comics. It's like, oh, with like the big titties and everything. Like, no, not necessarily. Like, One Piece is more for kids and stuff. That's like old conversations I used to have. Now I go around saying manga, and I actually like I say it's like, I don't know what point the transition happened, but that was very symbolic, I think, for me. It was kind of like, you know, when Robin used to call everyone in the crew by their occupations, right? So she's like Mr. Cook, Miss Navigator, stuff like that. And then she had her full transformation to becoming a true straw hat, and then she just starts calling everyone by their names. That was like me. That was once Robin became full bot and straw hat. Before, I was just some guy that mainly just liked One Piece and dabbled in other series. And I just like making videos on One Piece for fun. So I'm like, I follow this manga. And then over time, I talked to too many weebs and too many people online. And then I transitioned into saying manga like you guys. Sheriff Fluffy says, what do you think the plan was for Drake and Apu? There was no plan. What do you mean, what do I think the plan was? There was no plan. We saw it. The writing for them feels so stilted and weird, and it sucks because I thought Drake was cool. We all thought Drake was cool. Turns out he's just a dude. Just some dude that, I mean, Drake might still show up, right? It's not like he's done, but he didn't need to be there at all. Drake, Hawkins, and Apu literally didn't need to exist whatsoever. It's one of those things where, like, you know, Oda said, he said that he made up the supernovas out of the blue because his editors told him to. I didn't fully believe him because sometimes Oda just says shit to say shit, right? Like, usually he has more planned in mind than he lets on. But I'm going to believe him on that one. He definitely did not have a plan for the supernovas. And what's frustrating, here's the thing. You guys remember Capone Beige, right? How can you forget? Capone Beige is just, it's so frustrating to me that, like, when Oda has the space and the time, he can make supernovas really, really cool and interesting. With what he did with Capone Beige was probably, out of all of the supernovas, think about this, all of the supernovas initially introduced at Sabaody, Capone Beige, I think, had the least fan interest pre-time skip. I think, including myself, very, very few people were interested in Capone Beige. It just seemed a little generic. His ability was, like, interesting, but it didn't seem that strong. He kind of seemed like just, a mafia type ripoff character, and it was like he didn't. There was nothing, not particularly high bounty, not particularly high number of mentions throughout the story, name drops and things like that. So it wasn't a big deal. But then we get to Whole Cake Island, and Oda just writes Capone Beige brilliantly into that arc. I think the way he involved and used Capone Beige over the course of that arc and the flavor that Capone Beige brought was a great aspect of Whole Cake Island. I actually talk about it a decent amount in the Whole Cake Island analysis video. And Oda used him like phenomenally, like a random one of 11 random side characters that Oda had to make up on the spot like years ago or whatever. Blended beautifully into Whole Cake Island. He even kicked off Whole Cake Island with getting Sanji and pulling him there. And then the Capone Beige we knew at the beginning versus the Capone Beige we knew at the end. Great stuff. Oda weirdly set the bar too high with Capone Beige. Because from my perspective, it was like, damn, if Oda had that, like if he was able to pull that out of the hat for the least focused on, least hyped, least spotlighted supernova, right? The one that everyone had the lowest expectations and interest for. If Oda was able to do that with that guy, man, what's he going to do with Hawkins? What's he going to do with X-Drake? Like, there's so much that could be done with those characters, it felt like. But it turns out, if you stacked up all of their story time together, Hawkins, Apu, X-Drake, etc., it doesn't actually even scratch what Capone Beige had in total in Whole Cake Island, which is kind of wild. Law I never used as, like, the metric, because Law and Kid, from the start, it was clear that those two are going to be major in some way. It was the rest of the supernova that fall into their own category that I was kind of wondering how it was going to incorporate. And Capone Beige, again, set such a high bar. I was like, what's he going to do with all these other guys? It's hard to tell. Thomas Cass says, we were robbed of Brook versus Apu. I mean, we could still... Apu's not dead, right? I mean, he's not gone forever. We can still get Brook versus Apu. I think that'd be cool. Supreme Pirate King says, this actually made me think the editors made Oda rush Wano, to be honest. This arc was too uncharacteristic of him. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to believe that editors have the power to rush anything with Oda because it's Oda. Like, what is that? Like, I know that his editors have made him scrunch things before, but it's always been things that kind of make sense. So his editor, I think Oda at one point said that with Punk Hazard, the Fire Island and the Ice Island, they were supposed to be two separate things, but Oda had to condense them for time. But that made for a tighter story. Like, the events of Punk Hazard and everything don't need to be two arcs. Same with Greenbit and Dressrosa. As I understand, those were going to be two separate storylines, like first Greenbit, then Dressrosa. But they really don't need to be. Dressrosa, you could fit those two together pretty neatly, and it's still one complete storyline. I don't know what the hell, if there was something supposed to happen in Wano. Supposed to be longer, what it was supposed to be, but I don't know. Caleb Brown says, Morj, stop being hilarious. I'm at work and laughing. I'm sorry. Am I supposed to apologize? Thanks, Caleb. That cringe called Igglebos says, does Wano being bad indicate a larger trend? No, because I think like Wano's just a huge arc in terms of the amount of things that Oda tried to fit in. I don't think that's going to be representative of Elbaf necessarily. Like, are we going to get to Elbaf and learn about like the 13 blue giants that all followed Lord Odin, but not O-D-E-N, instead O-D-I-N, their version of Odin? Followed Lord Odin. And, like, I don't know, there's, like, 10 giant mafia bosses that we need to learn about over the course of it. And, like, I don't know, like, 8 giant daimyos. I don't know. Like, I don't think that shit's going to happen. I think Elbaf is probably... This is me assuming that we get to Elbaf, right? Am I allowed to make that assumption at this point? I'm going to go ahead and assume that we do make it to Elbaf and that Elbaf will be one of the arcs coming up soon, right? So if we assume that, then... I don't know. I just don't think that Elbaf is going to be as packed. I think it's hard to do an arc that's as packed as Wano, that has as many new characters to introduce as Wano. So I imagine the final saga will also be very, very packed with characters, but I think it'll be characters that we already kind of know and are excited about and interested in and are established. So, for example, yeah, I'm sure that the final war will focus a bunch on the Revolutionary Army, but that's cool. We like Dragon, we like Sabo, we like, a lot of we're interested to see more of the Revolutionary commanders, Bella, Betty, Morley, etc., Karasu. Same thing with, if we get more out of the Blackbeard pirates, more out of the Red-Haired pirates, more, the backstories are going to be the Void Century, things that we really, really want to learn about. Yeah, I just think that the final war could involve a similar number of characters as Wano, But imagine replacing a lot of the Wano-specific characters like a Hyogoro, like the Red Scabbards, like, the various mafia bosses and shit. Like, imagine replacing a lot of those with characters that we actually already fuck with. And I think that's still an exciting setup. So, I don't know. So I guess the simpler way I can put it is I think that Elbaf could probably be really good just because it might be a tightening down in terms of number of characters. Maybe we're working with a closer scale to like Whole Cake Island in terms of number of characters in Elbaf. And I think Whole Cake Island, in my opinion, was a really well-written, tightly written arc. Then maybe when it comes time for the final war, it's like, yeah, maybe we work with like a really large number of characters and plot threads again, but maybe it's more engaging than Wano just because we're finally probably, like, no matter how the final war plays out, we can expect, at least in that one, that we're going to get closing storylines for the Straw Hats, right? It's the final fucking saga. There's a lot of dreams, a lot of character setup that needs to be paid off on at that point, so at the very least, I think that's a storyline where we can expect that a lot of characters we already know and care about are going to be getting resolutions to their plot threads. So I still have high hopes for the ending segments of One Piece. Grizzly Adams says, do you think Dragon is grooming Sabo to become the next democratically elected king of the world, similar to Whitebeard with Ace and Shanks with Luffy for Pirate King? Watch tomorrow's video. Tomorrow I got a Sabo video. Tomorrow I got I think, a pretty decent Sabo video. It's fairly closely related to what you're asking here. Sheriff Lafitte says, who are your top 3 Vice Admirals, no Garp/Smoker? Like, my favorites? Favorite Vice Admirals? I like Mamanga just because we've seen him for a bit, we've seen Mamanga for a little bit. It's hard to dislike the dude when we've seen him. And, despite what Hancock did to him, he kind of toughed it out. I like Mamanga. Onigumo's pretty cool. I would love to see more of him. Onigumo in combat. Beyond that, Virgo, am I allowed to count Prototype? Or not Prototype. Actual Virgo. Abidrazak RN says, I don't know if you answered this question before, but will you cover One Piece live action when it comes out? And what do you think about Imu being a shadow person? I don't know what Imu being a shadow person means. I don't know what that means. I will probably cover the One Piece live action a bit when it comes out. It's going to be hard not to. Everyone's going to be wanting to discuss it. Ivan back from the card shop says, what would you do if it was revealed Raidfield was planned, but it was cut for time? I mean, there's nothing to do. What am I going to do? If we didn't get in the story, it doesn't change anything for me, Supreme Pirate King says, lol, what if it was the reverse? The editors didn't tell him to condense things as they normally do, and things got morged up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it did feel like there was a lot of content that got condensed in Wano, is all I'll say. So I don't know if that's what you're suggesting. Said Ray says, Wano is not very tense, as I think structurally it makes sense to have a triumphant arc before a tense final arc. Luffy is finally not an underdog. I could get that mentality if it were not for the fact that Wano itself is the climax to a very, very long running storyline. That's the thing. If Wano, what you're saying makes sense to me if we're talking about Fishman Island or some shit. Right? We're talking about Fishman Island, have a triumphant arc before something that, or a Punk Hazard, and then we get to Dressrosa where there's some more difficulty. To me, what's wild is that Wano is the conclusion to a storyline, and a storyline that's been very tightly focused from Punk Hazard to Wano, or even if you want to ignore that earlier stuff, at the very least the conclusion to a saga, which was Zou to Wano, right? Zou, Whole Cake Island, Wano. Whole Cake Island was really, really, really fucking tense. The sections of Whole Cake Island from especially 870s, particularly the 880s, whole segment with from Pedro's death to Luffy going into the mirror to everybody bearing down on the Straw Hats, etc. Luffy and Nami having the conversation where Nami literally thinks she's about to die. Luffy getting beat up, but telling the crew that he's gonna be okay. Meet me at the Cacao Island. Everything there's a very, very strong tense section of Whole Cake Island, and it actually happens twice along with earlier with the Enraged Army, Sanji conflict with Luffy, them being captured, Sanji's heartbreak with Pudding, etc. That was a very, very heavy arc by One Piece standards for the most part, right? It is hard, when you say, you want a triumphant arc before, a heavier arc, that makes sense if it's something I don't know, not a I just can't think of anything really, if I go back to, if I say Water 7, Enies Lobby, that's a really tense arc, right? So then the arc before that is Skypiea, And Skypiea had significantly, it still has tension, dramatic tension, right? Like, it still has severe low moments and everything like that, and moments where they think that they're basically fucked, that they have no chance, etc. They're up against God. I really don't really know how to spin it, because what you're talking about, it does make sense narratively speaking plenty of times in stories, but Wano was the conclusion, right? So this was the climax. So this wasn't really like this is some nice setup for the next thing. This was like, everything's been building up to this. They've been Oda's been building up and building up and building up actually tension towards Wano. So that's another thing that has to be considered, which is that a lot of tension in the story was long-term built up tension towards Wano, which is like, Caesar's bad, Doflamingo's bad, but these guys are nothing. Something really, really fucking big is coming. Something like really, really fucking big. Like, they're hyping that shit up over the course of Zou. They're just talking about how Wano's going to be something bigger, badder, scarier than anything that they've faced before, right? So then if you say, well, that one turned out to actually be the fun, happy-go-lucky, confident, no worries arc, because it's like the final saga that's going to be a bigger deal. It's like, okay, I'm sure the final saga will be a bigger deal, but that doesn't change the fact that this saga, in that case, like, that didn't hit for me, if that makes sense. Simply because narratively, I think the build-up towards it did not match the type of story that we got out of it, for me. Aztec Device says, Mr. Porge official video tier list. There's too many videos, man. Too many videos. I could do a tier list for my analysis videos, but then I'd have to rewatch all of them. Caleb Brown says, have you thought about doing live chapter reactions? It's just not fun for me. I'd rather do videos right after I read the chapter, like I did last Thursday. TCB was saying that they're changing the time, bumping back the time a little bit nowadays for when the chapter is going to be released. So I might still continue doing it on Thursdays, depending on what time chapters release on Thursdays. But ultimately, I think that, I just think that I'm not going to ever end up doing like chapter reactions repeatedly. Like, I did that once for Chainsaw Man. I didn't love doing that. I think I just prefer being able to sit down and read. Yasuho says, in a relaxed state, not having to perform or anything. Yasuho says, Carabo knowing about Neptune cut for time. Oh, yeah. Carabo knowing about Shirahoshi. Forgot about that shit. Like, I forgot about that shit. Isho says, Wano's left a bad taste in my mouth. I can't lie. I've never felt this cynical about One Piece before. I'm looking forward to the future, though. I'm looking forward to the future. That's where I'm at. Like, I'm looking forward to the future. What else am I going to say?
But ultimately, they lack that extra edge.
Like, it's not like, how do I explain this? So I think, like, if you read Dressrosa versus Whole Cake Island, I think there's a drastic difference in those two arcs. I know a lot of people prefer Dressrosa over Whole Cake Island. I'm saying for me, I personally felt like Whole Cake Island was like a lot easier to read and more focused and like fewer characters and just cleaner. And I feel like a lot of the emotional beats and like highs and lows hit better for me, and like a lot of the story felt cleaner to me because Oda was working with a simpler concept and less characters. So I feel like something very similar can happen post Wano. So between Wano and the next arc, assuming the next arc is something like Elbaf, I think there can be a drastic difference. And the biggest thing, let me say, biggest thing, is Oda took a month off to plan. So that gives me optimism that if Oda's taking a month off to plan, then maybe there's something really good that's going to come out of that. Maybe he's got a really clean idea now of how he wants to execute everything in the final arc. Guma Booma says Luffy versus Foxy was more tense than Luffy versus Kaido. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's something crazy unfair to say. I mean, it sounds crazy to say out loud, but if you just look at Luffy versus Foxy and kind of like Luffy's experience and his attitude over the course of that fight, it was nothing close to, like, against Kaido, he was basically happy-go-lucky, laughing 95% of the time. Aztec Device says, Morj hasn't aged at all. Morj is confirmed. That's what I like to hear.
Sport, where a competitor with a lot of talent is near the top of the game, but then goes stagnant. And you know what the natural thing is that happens? A new, younger contender with even more potential passes that guy on the ladder. And at the top of any competition, of course, you're going to have the superstars. In the One Piece world, these are the Yonkou, the top dogs, the ones who realistically are the true contenders for the title of Pirate King. And I can't hammer this enough, but this is realistically what you see at the top level of any competition. The 1 in a billion talents, the generational, gifted by God, athletic freaks, the alphas of alpha out there, the ones who are champions in their own right and are fighting for a single spot. The New World isn't big enough for the 4 of them because there are literally 4 emperors. It's a beautiful world.
I was so cute. Look at how optimistic I am. I was so cute. Grizzly Adams says, I have a theory about Yamato. One of Oda's daughters created her, and Oda is doing his best to stuff her into the story because he loves his kid. But then he could write in an arc. He could write in an arc. Christopher Alvarado says, how old is Morj anyway? Legit can't tell. Give it a guess. Give it a guess. I was so excited. Yeah. Straw Hat Killick says, is it sped up some? Yeah, a little bit. A wee bit. 1.5.
It can only be one. And lastly, just like any real-world competition, you have the rising stars. In the One Piece world, they're rightly recognized as rookies in the first half.
Edwin Rodriguez says gay. It's not gay. That's me. That's myself. What are you talking about? That's myself. What the fuck? Do you all look in the mirror and be like, damn, I'm ugly as fuck? What's wrong? What the fuck? I'm allowed to say this? This is myself.
And again, if you think about it in sports terms, Oda wrote things very realistically, because year one rookies are never going to be the best in any competition.
Who's saying 31? Stop guessing in the 30s. Stop guessing in the 30s. 26 is correct.
That they can make a name for themselves. And that's why we see before the time skip, they're famous.
I look
but they're
33.
not actually that strong. You know, you give them a couple years in the league, they turn from rookies into rising stars, into those up-and-comers, the guys who start to take over the game. Still a little rough around the edges, still lacking some experience, but with clear potential. And once they put it all together, then they'll become the new generation and phase the old talent out. And in One Piece, we get to see this happen in the current storyline. So again, this is a very well-written, very realistic ladder system that Oda has created for a fantasy series. We got to see the up-and-comers who tried and failed, the up-and-comers who ended up stuck in limbo, and now we get to see the up-and-comers whose dreams...
Alright, I'm bored with this video. On to the next one. What are we watching? What do we want to watch next? You guys decide. What's the next video? (1054) chapter review. We could go back to 1054 chapter review. I don't even have to scroll. I don't have a lot of videos. This isn't the longest scroll, really. I kind of just scroll up like 2 seconds and I'm at the top. It's probably because I moved all my chapter reviews. Uteron's new video, says Ozzy. No. I remember the YouTube meta for like a minute was everyone just going to react to Uteron's shit. Well, I guess O'Hara's Uteron. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Smoker becoming a Straw Hat. I'll watch that. That probably holds up. Mystery analysis. It's not that fun. Any Slobby. Any Slobby's long as fuck. The Moon video. Luffy versus Jack. It's too hard. How do we do this? Watch the stream. That's a great idea. I could watch some old streams. Awakening Kaido. Okay, let me watch. Okay. Do we want... Okay, let's do this first. All right, we're going to do it in batches. We're going to narrow it down. Either we're doing old or recent. Old or recent. Then we do analysis or theory. Old, recent, and we'll narrow it down like that. So either we do an old video or a recent video, then we narrow down between old or between recent or between like analysis or theory video. You guys want old? Okay. Old. All right. Do you want analysis or theory? I guess discussion's also another one. Analysis, theory, or discussion. React to Elbaf as Shanks' arc. Oh, I'm down to do that one. I'm down. Let me see what the people want. But that one will always... Okay, Elbaf as Shanks' arc will always have a special place in my heart because that's the one that kind of put me on the map in a big way. By that I mean like before that one, I think I was I was talked about, but in a very minimal... Like people would mention me, but I was very, very small. So it's like... I don't know how to explain. Like I was talked about slightly, but like an odd comment here or there. Like people wouldn't know who I was. After the Elbaf video, that was when people knew who I was. Aztec Device says, what's your best Devil Fruit theory? I mean, I still like the ancient... Well, this isn't a Devil Fruit theory one. I don't know if I have a good Devil Fruit theory. Like who eats a Devil Fruit or something like that. If we're doing an old theory, I could do why the Fire Festival will end in failure. Should I do that? Okay, let me throw out some options. Let's see some. Okay, first raid fail vid. Enter name says shape-shifting giant straw hat video. I like that one. We can, okay, here are the options I'll give. First raid fail vid, the shape-shifting straw hat video, which is this one. And Elbaf Shanks. Let's do that one. Someone's saying exaggeration analysis. We're doing a theory video, unfortunately. Ipo Takamura says, I kind of want to see Baby Morj now. That's weird. Why can't I do a poll? Oh, because I got to end the previous poll. Taha Jahan says, Zoro and Sanji versus all Straw Hats except for Luffy. I mean, Zoro and Sanji would win pretty easily, I think. What are we doing again? Which theory? Raid fail. Shanks Elbaf. Giant Straw Hat. Oh, and Smoker. Let me Smoker Straw Hat. Smoker joins crew. Raid fail wins pretty easily. All right, let's watch it. Let's watch it.
Again. Everyone will. So everyone seems.
All right.
So everyone seems to be under the impression that.
Full context for this. Oh, I'm trying to think everything. What was the year? What was the year? I guess it doesn't say. I'm pretty sure that the year for this, though, was... Because I'm pretty sure I was living in the office at this point. Okay? So I was living in the office. How much have I explained? This is when I lived in Baltimore. So we had a business running, right? So we had office space rented. I didn't contribute much to the rent. Everyone was in different financial situations. I didn't contribute to the rent of this space, but we had office space rented for our business, and I didn't want to live at home anymore, so I just moved into the office. So it was a funny scenario. It's a funny setup where it was like, it was a office by day, but like an office building by day, but at night one of the rooms turned into my bedroom. So, like, the futon, like, the couch that was in there was secretly a futon, so I would fold it out, get everything set up and everything like that. I would, there's, like, a kitchen area or whatever, but that was secretly my dining area. And there was a bathroom that happened to have, like, a shower and everything set up there, too. And, you know, that was secretly my bathroom. The reason I say secretly is because this was not just our, like, the three of us, right, who were renting out the space and stuff. It wasn't just us in this office building. There were other little business, like there was a therapist who ran her business there, like in one of the rooms in that office space. There was a massage person. She ran her business there. There was one room where like that office space kept getting rented out, swapped out by different people. So there's like a lawyer who worked there at some points. We were not the only people who worked there. But I was the only person who lived there, and, like, we didn't want anybody else to know. Because you're not supposed to live there. So, it's just weird. It was just a bizarre year where, like, I would do all sorts, like, the other people who worked there, you know, we didn't talk that much to them, but, like, they just started to notice weird little things. Like, hey, why is there someone's, like, personal bath towel in the bathroom? Okay, that's like a little weird. Hey, why is the kitchen's dishwasher always being run? Like, nobody here really like cooks anything, right? Hey, why is there like a rice cooker that was left out on the stove the other day? It was just like a lot of weird shit that they kept like bringing up to me. So like they were on to me after a little bit, and I was very, very bad at hiding it because I would do all sorts, like I would be the last person to leave because I lived there. So they don't, like, people who are leaving, like other people who work there would see me, you know, like, oh, this kid, like, he works really late. But I'm also the first person there because I live there. So they'd come in first thing in the morning, see that, you know, this kid's already there. It is like at their office or whatever. And sometimes I would forget to fold up the futon and put away the bed and stuff. So if somebody else who worked in the building like looked in, they'd see this weird, bizarre setup in this like office space room of just like a full-on fold-out bed and like blankets and pillows and shit. And there was just never a direct confrontation. So it was one of those things where like everybody picked up on it like one at a time, so they all knew. And like I knew they knew past a certain point, so we would just keep our conversations to a minimum, and they would like kind of hint at certain things, and I would just pretend I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And that was it. And that was just a weird year. I was just very bad at hiding it. I was very, very bad at hiding it. I didn't try after, because I think after a certain point where I realized that like no one's gonna confront me about it, I just stopped trying to hide it much. All right, where are we at? No, I wasn't homeless. I had a home. It's just not a home I was supposed to be in. I wasn't legally supposed to be in that home. Will Jack says, but home is what you make of it, right? Will Jack says, can you discuss what will happen to Totland now that Big Mom is gone? I don't think Oda's going to care. Will Katakuri form a new We'll find out in a cover story. That's the reality. I don't mean Oda won't care, but I mean like won't care to include a large section on it. I think we'll see in a cover story though. Will Katakuri form a new Big Daddy Pirates? And do you think Oda rushes Wano? I do think that. I don't think Katakuri will become the Big Daddy Pirates because he's not. He's their brother. He's not their father. He's not even the oldest brother. But I could see Katakuri leading the crew going forward. Ass Ego says, Raidfield was a crossroads of fate for the One Piece community. However, it didn't, and now we're stuck in there of hype instead of story comprehension. Shake my head. And that's how I feel. What else am I supposed to say? Learn to hide better, says Jordan Vance. Yeah, let me say this. This is probably one of the darkest things. This is my stream, so I'm allowed to say it. All right? If I was around in Germany back during the Holocaust period, and I was meant to be I would be caught right away. If I was in Germany during that period of time, if I was around in Nazi Germany, I would be done right away. I'd last 1 week. Anybody else who was trying to hide with me, they would be fucked too. So apologies in advance to those people, those hypothetical people, but it would have been bad. Will Jack says, can you discuss what will happen to Totland now that Big Mom is gone? Will Katakuri... Oh, no, we covered this. Covered this. All right. Time to watch the original version of this. Papa Dogsucker says, bro, why use that analogy? Because that's the most extreme version of someone needing to hide you can think of, right? Everyone thinks of Anne Frank, I like to think, right? Let's do it.
That the Wano arc is set to climax with the Fire Festival. This massive assault on Onigashima that all the Allied forces are planning, where everyone will unite and take down Kaido with the Fire Festival. This massive assault. So everyone seems to be under the impression that the Wano arc is set to climax with the Fire Festival. This
Straw Hat Shackles is more devastating backstory. Morj or Senior Pink. I will never act like I don't have a sad backstory. I have like the most like non-tragic life like backstory that you can imagine. Like I don't even know what to say. Like came over to America when I was like 2 years old, and then since then my family has done fine for themselves over the years. My family's like societal status has improved over time. My dad got better jobs over the years. I ended up with a nice middle class upbringing, decent neighborhood, public school, but a decent public school. Nothing ever truly sad happened. Had a happy family life growing up. I got to go to college. Yeah, and then I don't have a sad backstory. That's the thing. I don't have a sad backstory.
Massive assault on Onigashima that all the Allied forces are planning, where everyone will unite.
Aslan says, why do you say particularly so much? I don't know.
And take down Kaido. I can tell you right now that there's absolutely no chance that the Fire...
Reading 06s must be nice. Yeah, it is. Like, it's something that at times you do have to sit back and appreciate, you know, because there's a lot of people that you meet who've actually had very difficult lives. I will never claim that I'm someone who's had a particularly difficult life. Shampoo Samurai says stream with Parvision went. I'm down to stream with Parvision. I'll stream with. He's gotta invite me though. Rafi says, and then Wano happened. I guess you could call that a tragic backstory.
If anything, we could be.
Oh my god, my hairline has. Okay, time out. My hairline may have changed, but this guy's cheating. All right, look at this. All right, so he's cheating, right? You see this? You see this? You see this little triangle? Who can see the triangle? You see this triangle? This guy's just trying to. His hairline's no better than mine. It's no better than mine. It's just that the hair it's drooping forward. That's why. This is where the hairline's actually at. You see this? This is the actual hairline. Can I draw? Is there a way I can draw on this? It's like imagine a dotted line going across this. This is where the actual hairline is. It's like right here, I think. His hair is drooping forward. Or maybe that's not true. Maybe it's more like a triangle. So maybe this is actually where the hairline is and it's more like a triangle. That's actually probably more realistic. I think that's where it is. Chinho Wong says, looks like a wig Morj. No, now they're on to me. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so anyway, this was me in the office. Fun fact. All right, more fun facts about the office life. I wasn't supposed to be shooting One Piece. I wasn't supposed to be. Okay, I was not supposed to be shooting One Piece videos while I was at this office. All right. I was being allowed, like, we had a business. I was staying here with the mentality being like, okay, I don't have to do the long commute from home and everything like that. That allows me to be more locked in while we're working on this business and everything. It was basically something that was being allowed for me with the idea that, like, it's good for me and it's better for the business. I wasn't supposed to be sitting here doing random videos on a fucking Japanese kids comic for like 500 viewers at the time. That's not true. I think I was like probably in the 10 to 20k subscriber range around this point in time when this video was released. Probably 10 to 20k subscriber range. I don't think I was at like 30k yet. Definitely not. But I was definitely not supposed to be doing this. Definitely not supposed to be doing this. The main guy who was covering the rent for the office, I didn't tell him for years. I told him about this channel literally last year. And that I'd spent some of the time in the office shooting stuff like this. Okay, actually, you know what's hilarious? All right, hold on. Hold on. Let me just capture this. Supreme Card King says #keeps ad. Yeah. Keeps might help. I don't know. Aztec Devices, everyone boo Morj for having a normal life. Yeah, if you want me to have a tragic life, I'm afraid that I'd be a little disappointed. Okay, let me show you guys this. So there's a few videos you'll find of me shooting with this background. This is just the generic background in the office space that I had, right? That we had. But the main guy who covered rent for this, so the wealthiest of us three, basically, and he already had a running, somewhat successful business at this point, right? So he's teaming up with me and one other guy, basically, to expand into digital marketing, which he didn't have any experience with at that time, okay? Let me see if I can find it. Where are we at? Yeah, I think this. Okay, so here's what's really funny. Okay, so
Hey, everyone.
So white background, right? White background. This is me shooting in the office space that I had, okay? That I was allocated, right? That I was allowed to work in, okay? When I'm shooting here, so this is paid for mainly by one of our guys, like out of our three business partners, right? 3-person partnership. One of us was fronting basically the rent for everything, for most of it, okay? We were doing a little bit, but he was fronting most of it for the time being, okay? So I would film here in this room, but on days that guy wasn't there, I would use his office. So I would just go, you see why this setup looks way nicer? You see why this setup looks like way nicer? It's got like, not way nicer, but it's got some inspirational quotes and shit in the background. We got like a nice chair here. I'm sitting on a nice wheelie chair here. Better desk. There's a printer. There's books and stuff in the back. Business books, entrepreneurship books and things like that. When he wasn't there, I would just go to his office. I'm like, all right, we got a better setup today. Cool. It's okay, for the record. This is not me like being like a bad person, I swear. He knows about everything now. We still work together now. and he is still one of the closest people in general. Sham Love says it doesn't look nicer at all. Are you kidding? You don't think it looks nicer than this? This is just a white background. It's just like that. I could have decorated this same way I could have decorated that. I'm just very lazy when it comes to stuff that's like aesthetic, space-wise, getting decorations and shit together. Behanort says, I had this theory since around 1043. What if there were more Void Sentries and Joy Boys, and it's a never-ending cycle of oppression and uprising, so being a Joy Boy is being destined to fail versus Emu? I mean, it would be really interesting. I won't say it's like... It's something that you've definitely seen in other stories before. I mean, the fucking Matrix series is built around that idea. But, it would be interesting. It'd be interesting, but I don't know if One Piece is necessarily going to go that way. We'll see. Drive Forces, imagine you come back to your office and there's a guy recording the missing ingredient of Wano, Chad. Bro, it's a blank wall. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, like, this is what his office looked like, so it had some shit at least, like, desks and stuff like that, right? This was just what I had. So when I had the opportunity, fuck yeah, I went over here. Obviously. All right. Let's keep rolling.
Set up for one of the most devastating defeats in the entire series. Before getting into the reasons why the Fire Festival will end in failure, I'm just going to...
Notice I say why the Fire Festival will end in failure. Because this was so early in the Wano arc that we didn't really know what... Like, we didn't have a full definition of what the... what we're going to refer to as this battle as. So, like, Marineford, there are, like, different words that are thrown around, like the Summit War, Marineford War, Battle of Marineford, things like that. War of the Best, even that's used by some people. At this point in time, we were just talking about, like, okay, there's going to be a battle at Onigashima on the day of the Fire Festival and stuff. And at this point in time, I think the word Fire Festival was being used kind of frequently. So I called it Why the Fire Festival Will End in Failure. And funnily enough, at the same time, there was that real world Fire Festival shit going on. So timed up kind of funnily. If I'd known that, we'd start calling it the Raid on Onigashima, then I would have called this Why the Raid Will End in Failure. But at the time, we didn't have, like, a key word for it,
Quickly address the obvious objection, which is that Oda has pretty much been...
Wait, let me see. Have I missed some stuff? Hold on. I think I'm good. Adrian Akeen says, will you ever do a stream with your sister/family? No. Keeping my life as private as possible. That's for sure. Tittle TT says, I want Wano to continue, but certain things like rush deaths of Izzo and Ashura and Wano people off screen already accepting Yamato does make me think Oda just rushed the end of the arc. We'll never know.
Been hammering us over the head with the idea that the
Paramount War
is the end game of this arc, right? Since chapter 920, we have essentially had our mission for the arc painted out for us, that this is the grand plan, to coordinate...
A bearded lizard says, another day of wondering if Morj's shoulder is okay because he has never mentioned it and silences everyone who does. Oh, I'll teach you to talk about my shoulder. I just want to ban him for a little bit. I don't want to ban him forever. Can someone unban him? It was a joke. How do I unban him? Unhide user. All right, you're welcome. We'll invade it.
When the enemy is vulnerable. We have a timeline of 2 weeks given grand plan.
This seemed so confident, and it did in fact work out.
We have a timeline of 2 weeks given to us, and since then Oda has reinforced this idea over and over throughout various characters to the point that Oda has kind of made the reader not even think about it. Like, the final battle is spoken about so matter-of-factly that it doesn't seem like something we would question. Law and Sanji talking about how they need to play it safe till the final battle. Zoro's injured, and he's talking about how this affects the final battle. Like, the way characters are talking, it's like it's a given that the final battle will be at Onigashima in 2 weeks, or 9 days from now at this point.
Yeah.
And even text boxes have started saying, like, 9 days till the final battle.
Yep.
And this all takes me back to when I was a youngin', maybe 10 or so years back, and I believe that the next arc we would be...
This is called character growth. Almost Oof Part 2, damn. This is called character growth. This is called, just generally being able to accomplish what you previously could not, right? The Morj 2-3 years ago would have banned that person and never been able to bring them back. The Morj today can vanish someone and reappear them like it's nothing. You know how easy that was for me? It was effortless. I think that was probably my final test as a streamer. I think at this point I'm perfect as a streamer. There's no area where I need to further improve on. Aztec Device says, do your rents know what you do and how disappointed are they? I don't know why you chose to write this chat in like, it seemed like you were trying to use as few letters as possible. Like you were sending a fucking telegram in like the 1970s or some shit, and they were charging you per letter. But yeah, my parents know what I do, and no, they're not disappointed. They think it's pretty cool at this point. They thought it was like weird when I was like, because they don't understand Japanese manga anime shit. Like they've got the impression it's weird. They thought like when I was at like 30K, 40K subscribers, and I was like making money off of it, but like not enough that it's like a big deal. They're like, yeah, are you sure you want to keep doing this? You're focusing more on your business still, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, you sure you don't want to just go to law school? Because I was supposed to go to law school. That was the plan. But then you give it like a year, some months, etc. And, you know, now it's totally different. Now they're like happily fine to show other people that this is what I do. Oh, Rujandro XX is Morj. Super chats have text limits, LMAO. See, now you know. Faris Wubshit says, Morj, what do you think of Andrew Tate? I saw some funny stuff going around about it. I legitimately don't know anything about that other than it was like some misogynistic stuff that like other Twitch streamers started making fun of, basically. That's all I kind of know. Aslan says we were charged for super chat. Well, then say what you want to say and just pay the higher fee. That's all I got.
Getting to was Fishman Island. It's easy to forget, especially if you weren't a weekly reader at the time. But from the way
Eternal says I can see Morj as a lawyer. I would be a great lawyer. Okay, I would be a great lawyer. I did mock trial in college. I was phenomenal. Won attorney awards everywhere I went. Won attorney awards at Yale. Almost never dropped a rank. I don't know if anybody of you know how mock trial works, but you get ranks based on if you're the best lawyer in the room in a given mock trial. I almost never dropped ranks. LSAT at a 173. I would have been a fucking great lawyer. Instead, I'm doing this, talking about this series, and people are photoshopping my face onto that unemployed guy's face, and it gets like 10K likes and retweets, and people are like, raid didn't fail, LMAO, and I'm like, this is my life now. Aztec Device says, everyone boo Morj for having supported parents. They were like, they were never not, they were never, what's the word? Supportive is like, they were never proactive in like being like, hey, you should keep pushing YouTube and stuff. They were more proactive for, you know, business side of things, but at the moment, YouTube brings up more of my revenue, right? They were never proactively supportive, but they never like tried to hold me back or tell me not to do stuff. There were kind of at points like, you sure you don't want to do law school? You could just do law school. And I'm like, I'm not going back to school for 3 years. I just can't imagine that. And every friend I have in law school, because I have a good amount of people who've gone to law school or are currently in law school, because again, like college, I was government politics, I did mock trial, etc. So I have a lot of people, like I have a lot of experience with people doing law school in the sense, like I have a really good idea of what it's about. I would hate doing that for another 3 years of my life. It's just not, and being a lawyer is not fun. It's not like Suits. It's not like TV. It's not like movies. Gabriel Weed says, Bollywood danced since the raid succeeded. Also, you think Oda's setting up Sabo as a Joy Boy candidate. He's worshipped as a liberating sun god. I don't think Oda's setting up Sabo as a Joy Boy candidate, but, you know, I do think that he's going to be a big deal in the story going forward. So we'll see. Ippo Takamura, you can see my tomorrow's video to get more context on my thoughts on Sabo right now. Ippo Takamura says, better call Morj.
Characters were talking after Eni's lobby. From what the text boxes told us, from the general flow of the story, it seemed absolutely unquestionably obvious that Fishman Island would be the next destination, that this was set in stone since Eni's lobby, that they were taking the proper steps, getting to Saboti, signing up to get their ship coding done, and even getting a nice little timeline of 3 days till Fishman Island. And we all know exactly what happened next. So the point I'm making is that just because Oda is trying to make us think one way, just because Oda is basically making characters speak as if it is a given that things will play out a certain way, just because we have been given a 2-week timeline, just because the plot seems to be moving, you know, in a certain direction, all that doesn't necessarily mean that things will actually happen as we are being led to believe. Now, this obviously doesn't, what I'm saying right now obviously doesn't prove that the Fire Festival won't be the final battle, but this is just to say that just because we're being
Let's
told
move this
the
along.
final battle isn't
Taking
proof
too
that
long.
it will be either.
Get to the point.
So to get to the main points of why this grand plan is not going to go well, that's the thing. This is kind of the fundamental story set of One Piece arcs that they tend to follow. The plan or the mission has to fail. Obviously,
Agreed. The plan and the mission has to fail. It creates a story. Lucas Lorenko says, Morj, what the fuck did you want to be when you were younger? I wanted to be a film director, and I still want to be a film director. That's never changed.
Most stories tend to follow a structure where somewhere in the middle of the story things get worse. Things have to get worse before they get better. That's drama. There's usually a low point in any story somewhere, I guess, between the 30% mark and maybe the 70% mark of the story, right? That's fairly universal. Now, with One Piece, we can look at it more specifically because it's usually the Straw Hats, specifically it's the Straw Hats getting to a new island and they have some sort of a mission. You can look at close to every big arc of the series, there's always an initial mission that the Straw Hats come in with, or a mission that develops very early on in the arc once they get to the island. So we're going to call this the fundamental mission, okay? Lots of times during an arc, there are minor, smaller missions, like in Wano, Luffy had to go rescue Tama from Holden, but that's not the fundamental mission, right? The fundamental mission was that we've been given is to build an alliance to defeat Kaido at the Fire Festival in 2 weeks' time.
I like the framing of this. I start off by explaining the concept of a fundamental mission for each arc. And I'm pretty sure I'm about to go into examples of how each storyline follows this little pattern of establishing a fundamental mission not succeeding, and then moving along. Whoa. Rakib Yusuf says, you look older there, LMAO. Good. Think I look younger? Oh no, is it time? Do we have to put on slow mode? Now that lovechat.xyz has popped into chat? Nods or spam. I think we're good. I don't think we need slow mode just yet. We'll see.
Fundamental mission, right? Now, the absolute constant of One Piece storytelling is that whatever the fundamental
Chillaxarita says, why don't you just call it Plan A? Because fundamental mission sounded better at that moment. All right?
is
Leave me alone.
failure. Their initial plan or goal that they set out to accomplish does not work, at least the first time. That failure is where the drama comes from. From that failure onwards, emotion tends to rise, things get serious, the stakes get a lot higher, the heroes need to come back from the failure, and from there we get what we'll call the new mission, or it can be a renewed mission, and this usually ends in victory. So let's quickly look back at this pattern.
Yep.
In Alabasta.
This pattern is factually true. This is just true. This is not just a pattern in One Piece. This is just like a pattern in like every story fucking ever.
Fundamental mission is to stop the rebellion before it happens. They have to stop it before it happens. The entire story is right.
Sheriff Luffy says, Yamato training Luffy instead of Hyogoro and Udon feels like something that should have happened. Would have built Yamato Luffy bond and cut out a minor character like Hyogoro. I don't think Hyogoro is that. Like, if at the end of the day, Hyogoro just existed as a character that needed to teach Luffy about Rio, right? So I see what you're saying there. It might have been better if Luffy met Yamato there. It's funny because at the end of the day, Luffy was the one who had to use Rio to free Yamato from her bonds, right? Free Yamato from the handcuffs. So I do think you're correct. Stefan Urban says, why are you moving so fast and sound funny? It's on 2x speed.
Riding on that. This is their fundamental mission. It's been stressed over and over since Drum Kingdom. When they get to Alabasta, they land on the decision that defeating Crocodile himself is the key to stopping the rebellion and accomplishing their fundamental mission.
Agreed.
Right? So they get to Rain-Base Casino.
This is them trying to carry out the fundamental mission.
But they get captured. They barely make it out of there with their lives, and Luffy gets absolutely, destroyed by Crocodile.
Devastating.
So their fundamental mission fails. From then on, the real tension of the arc starts with the stakes way
Tension. Imagine getting like a chapter
higher.
like this in
Stopping
Wano.
the rebellion now. The Stars all come out of this defeat with a new mission to get to the capital and put an end to the fight. And this time they succeed, obviously with Luffy beating Crocodile in the end.
They won this time.
Partway through. But the point is that their initial fundamental mission, the big plan at the start of the arc, has to fail first. They think they can solve all this by going after Crocodile where he lives and beating him up, but it's not that simple. They fail, the stakes get higher, then they come back from failure, and then they succeed. In Dressrosa, an arc very similar to Alabasta, right? We all see that. It starts with their fundamental mission being to ruin Doflamingo's business, and ideally leave him to face the wrath of Kaido. That was the plan. Everyone is assigned a nice, clean job assignment at the start to follow, and everything goes wrong. The season exchange turns into a mess that ends with half the crew having to run away from the conflict. Law suffers a terrible defeat and gets captured.
Fuck, this is some dark, heavy shit. What's happening?
Basically gets crushed.
Panel after panel of difficulties? Of having to overcome obstacles? Of not getting what you want in a straightforward manner?
Onwards, the stakes get higher as now Doflamingo.
This is crazy.
The new mission is now they actually have no choice but to go and beat Doflamingo.
Luffy getting serious?
Point is, the initial goal fails.
The plan was this?
Because the plan can never work.
But it had to become something more difficult. This is crazy.
Mission was to go rescue Usopp, Nami, and Chopper, who have been kidnapped. This ends in failure. They get captured. They get their shadows stolen.
Even a comedy arc like Thriller Bark will have them not succeed the first time around.
They have to go back with a new mission to beat Moria and get their shadows back. Okay, Khaled. Fundamental mission is to go find Sanji, convince him to come home. Their initial attempt to get him back does not work. And so Luffy and Nami ending up getting captured. Brooks simultaneously gets captured. At the same time, Sanji's own hopes and dreams are crushed as well. The fundamental mission ends with failure at around the halfway point of the arc. Then everyone escapes, reconciles, and they get a new mission with higher stakes to crash the Tea Party, save Sanji's family, and go up against Big Mom herself. With Water 7, the fundamental mission took a little time to develop, but it basically became to get Robin back, which actually ended in failure twice. First at Iceberg's home, and then
Water 7 was dope because it's like Water 7 ending lobby was so good because it's like you could get to just the ending of Water 7 with them having the lost Robin, Usopp having left the crew, going Mary broke and everything like that. Luffy stuck between the building, like everyone at an absolute low point. It's literally explicit quotes. They're talking about like how everyone's spirits are really low right now. That feels like the crew is falling apart. You have that low point. Then there's a resurgence. They get back up. Aqualugana wave crashes. Their wave of hope returns. They resolve to go all the way to Enies Lobby, get Robin back, fight against all the odds, blah, 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 etc., etc. They resolve to catch her on the train first, right? even after everything they've gone through and the new resolve that they come back with, right? The new confidence, new goal, new determination, new pact that they've made, new allies that they've made, right? Everybody all on the same ship with the same singular goal, right? They still fall short, so they don't succeed on the train. It gets harder because at that point, Robin herself still doesn't want to come back. It's not that easy. They need to do more. So then they go all the way to Ennis Lobby, which is supposed to be the point of no return. They go all the way to Ennis Lobby, and there, and only there, does Robin accept that, okay, I will come back with you guys, and there and only there is it time for them to actually succeed in, overcoming the world government forces, doing the impossible, doing what nobody else thinks could be done, getting Robin back, yada yada, right? I love the way that the Water 7 Ennis Lobby storyline ramped tension because it doubled down on the tension, right? It doubled down on the idea of them not succeeding. Because all of Water 7 was basically the Straw Hats, everything going wrong for them, culminating with Robin finally being taken away. Then they make their comeback, but even the comeback isn't enough, so they got to go beyond the comeback, right? They make the comeback, they catch her on the train, but that's not enough. CP9 still gets away with Robin, so they have to go beyond, above and beyond what they initially thought they had to do and get an even higher and more difficult goal and go all the way to Ennis Lobby and do it. That's what makes Ennis Lobby so damn dramatic. Love that arc. Still my favorite story arc of anything. Ipo Takamura said, better call Morj. Yep. Think we covered this, right? You asked what I want to be. Lucas asked what I want to be when I was younger. I said film director. How far back am I? We covered this. Adrian Akeen says 3 of your theories are allowed to come true, but you have to sleep with speed. Are you doing it? And if so, which would they be? Okay, 3 of my theories are allowed to come true, but then I get to sleep with speed. Is that what you said? I would just take all of the raid failing Kaido related ones. Kaido getting awakening, Kaido beating up Gear 5th Luffy, raid failing, etc. Aztec Device says, what's your next big bet? Yamato won't join the crew, Shanks will die. I'm ready for another success. I'm going to lay off of the bets for the moment. Let's see how I feel as the next arc proceeds. Okay.
The sea train battle, making it so that their new mission ended up being just launching an assault on Ennis Lobby itself. So sometimes the fundamental mission is very simple, like in
Virgil Hawkins says, and Ennis Lobby had great fights as well, like Chopper versus Kumadori, which was a genuinely desperate fight. Yeah, that's the thing, and the payoffs were worth it. The Ennis Lobby payoffs were amazing. The fights were the best fights of the Straw Hats so far. I think Zoro is the only Straw Hat that you could say his best fight at that point in time. The only Straw Hat you could say that his best fight was not in Ennis Lobby, because in Ennis Lobby at that point in time, I'm talking about to the story to that point, because I think at that point in time, Nami versus Khalifa, that became her best fight. Sanji versus Jabura, that became his best fight. Usopp didn't get a fight. Chopper versus Kumadori, that immediately became his best fight. Frankie obviously knew, so he got his best fight right there. I think Zoro versus Kaku, that's the only one where you could say, okay, maybe Mr. 1 was probably better. I think a lot of people have Mr. 1 better. But for the most part, the Ennis Lobby fights were phenomenal because they were worth the sort of narrative build-up, tension, payoff, etc., right, that we got throughout the story up to that point. Right? It was the climax to Ennis Lobby felt fitting for everything that the Straw Hats had went through, right? The fights that they got, the payoffs that they got, it all felt just right. Just right, at least in my opinion. Van Hort says, there was a Reddit post that said, the point of the raid was to win here, so you're missing the point if you think they should have lost. What does that mean? This arc is like if everything went right in Dressrosa. The point of the raid was to win here, so you're missing the point. I don't even know how to respond to that, to be honest. Sheriff Lafitte says, what are your favorite members of Blackbeard's crew? I like Lafitte and Burgess. I think we haven't seen enough of Blackbeard's crew to really have, favorites for myself just yet. I'll say, yeah, I think Lafitte's really, I'm excited to see what Lafitte's about. Doc Q is pretty cool and mysterious. Shiryu, I have a lot of hopes for.
Fishman Island, they arrive with a really simple goal of getting their ship coded so they can move on. But then the incident at Ryukyu Palace happens, they become labeled criminals, and on top of this, Hori and his crew take over. So now their mission shifts, and now it's to defeat Hori. Even an arc as short as Arlong Park.
Even Fishman Island.
The initial mission to get Nami to come back, a refusal, we reach a low point, and then their new mission becomes beat up Arlong.
Yep.
Basically, you have to get the really short, simple arcs like Whiskey Peak or Syrup Village or something like that to not see the pattern of Straw Hats have goal towards the start of an arc. A mission to accomplish, the mission fails, then the stakes rise, and then they have to accomplish a new mission. The failure tends to be
Supreme Pirate King says, even the Art of Wano looked rushed near the end. Yeah.
Midway through the arc. Bottom line is, whatever it is that they initially set their minds to, it doesn't go as intended. It will always...
It's the art, that's the last thing I'm going to criticize just because, it it's just gotten that way over the years. So it's like, what are you gonna do about it? Oda's got more to rush and fit in, like more content to cram into a given chapter. So it's like, okay, understandable. But you know, when you add that factor in on top of everything else, then it feels more disappointing to me.
And in failure. This is the arc-to-arc story structure of One Piece. Now, Wano is a very special case because it is said to be such a massive arc with so many characters that the story seems like it's going to take place over a much longer period of time. So the Onigashima raid ending in failure seems weird to think about because that is still over a week away. That in itself is longer than any other One Piece arc. Even in terms of chapter count, usually in One Piece arcs, we would be about 30 chapters into Wano, we would be approaching the point of failure already at this point. But really, I think what people need to keep in mind is that the story structure is not likely to change. Just because the arc is bigger doesn't mean that the pattern is being thrown out the window.
It is likely to change, though. You don't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
And it is not going to work because it never does. It doesn't matter that it's 2 weeks in the future and that's a long
It's going to work this time, bro. You didn't know.
time. And really, the fact that all the characters are so
Sauce says, Morj, would you say you enjoy dark humor? I mean, it depends what people call dark humor. Like, I've seen people say, like, oh, I just like dark humor, and then they say some, like, really fucked up shit. Like, I guess everyone's got a line of what they call dark humor. So I would say yes, I like dark humor, but then it also, it just depends, because a lot of people use that as an excuse to just really be a bad person. Mr. Crescent says, I feel like everyone was just excited to see Luffy beat Kaido and that the Straw Hats and the Alliance deserve the W after all they've went through. What did they go through? What did the Straw Hats go through this arc? I could read Act 1 and Act 2 straight. If you combine all of the Straw Hat scenes from Act 1 and Act 2, they don't do anything. They don't go through anything. I would love to see the Straw Hats get a big W after they go through some shit. Again, Enies Lobby, great example. Alabasta, another example. Fucking Skypiea, like, there are examples where the Straw Hats have difficult experiences and go through something, and then they get their big W's. I think those are great arcs. I don't know what to say here. What am I supposed to say? Like, I don't personally enjoy seeing arcs where the Straw Hats don't go through anything, really. They treat it mainly as like, yeah, we're here, we're just gonna wrap shit up pretty much. They walk in literally planning a party. That is factually what they're doing at the start of the Onigashima raid. They're planning their victory party. They come in all smiles, all happy, and then they win. Wow, amazing.
The fact that this seems like it is so definitely where they will have their victory, just reading things like this, characters assuming they're going to beat everyone up while they're drunk and take them out in one go, basically tells me that there's no way that this is going to be where they actually take down Kaido.
Thomas Cass says, what the fuck was the point of Tank Man? It was used once. I don't know. I mean, that's so minor, I don't even know what to say. Like, yeah, we're done with that probably.
And remember, this failure in their fundamental mission tends to happen somewhere in the middle section of the arc. So from the start, the timeline of the Fire Festival was 2 weeks, but on that same day, before this plan was set in stone, this plan that everyone seems so confident in, the timeline that everyone is so set on that same day, we actually got another much vaguer time frame.
Oscar Manana says it wasn't the Straw Hat story. I think Wano's something that should be viewed through the Scabbard's eyes. Yeah, but then, okay, so this is a interesting point of discussion that I think is best saved probably for the video that I will get out all my thoughts on. Because one, okay, without getting too much into it now, you can say it's something that was best experienced through the Scabbard's eyes. But then you've essentially, it doesn't change the fact that you're essentially writing a story where certain characters are experiencing, I guess, the drama of the story, but it's essentially irrelevant to the actual action of the story that's carried out. And we're supposed to feel something for the, like, it's not as though while the Straw Hats are fighting the Toby Rope or the Calamities that this is in any way, like, truly tied to, like, what the Scabbards are, like, we are not getting the Scabbards' reactions or feelings or something like that over the course of these fights. So those fights on their own are still hollow because at the end of the day, it's, like, completely separate from what, like, the characters whose drama it's actually about, right? It's at the end of the day, it's just like, well, these random characters, in this case, the Straw Hats, completely disconnected from any of the drama of the story, are basically just having like random fights with characters that we've just met, the Toby Ropo, right? So it's the Toby Ropo and Calamities aren't even really baked into the Scabbard stories in the first place. That's one small aspect of it. But the bigger thing is that this is not the first arc that has not been about the Straw Hats. There are plenty of arcs in One Piece where the Straw Hats are not the main focus. Skypiea, Dressrosa. You can get to smaller arcs, obviously, like Drum Kingdom, etc. There are many arcs that are not mainly about the Straw Hats. There are many arcs where the Straw Hats take a back seat. But Oda is still always really, really effectively able to write in the Straw Hats' connection to those characters and have the Straw Hats experience something over the course of the arc that really ties together the stories of the Islanders to the stories of the Straw Hats in a way that even though the Straw Hats are still the secondary characters of the story, when the Straw Hats are actually carrying out the action, as they always do, of the climax of the story, and the actual action is finally flowing through them, they are still carrying something that's very clearly tied dramatically to what the main drama of the story was, right? That the main characters of the story, the Islanders, were experiencing. This is the first time that Oda has basically written the straw. It says literally, like practically like cameo side characters for the vast majority of the first half of the story, but then still had them get like the lion's share of the focus during the climax, which is just really incoherent storytelling, I think, no matter how you spin it. Because it's just like, when you're having these random cameo side characters essentially take over the lion's share of carrying out the climax, to me, that climax is always going to ring hollow when it really wasn't about them whatsoever during that period of time. And then you're taking all the characters who were carrying the drama of the story, the Scabbards, and turning them into cameo side characters for the most part during the climax. It's just a very... for me, it's like hard to really feel anything, for me personally, during that period of time, during the climax of a story like that. Agent Summy says, will you drop a Kaido analysis eventually? It's not worth it. There was so much setup that never went anywhere, and now I see people saying that he was never meant to have depth. I mean, my Kaido discussion will come in my general video on Wano. Straw Chaco says, react to best villain stream, specifically at 148.54. Maybe I'll react to streams at another stream. Let's get through this.
Hawkins gives us this prediction that Luffy's chances of being alive 1 month from now is 19%.
Little did I know that Hawkins doesn't matter, and Hawkins' predictions don't mean
1
anything.
month from now. That's Gemini's box and the official Viz translation saying 1 month from now. Not at the end of the month, 1 month from now. If we assume that this is the real time frame of the arc, 1 month, then the Fire Festival being 2 weeks into the arc is basically perfectly on track to being the midway point of the arc where the initial mission would fail. I'll also just quickly address objections. Namely, didn't Luffy already suffer a defeat or failure against Kaido in the first place, failure early on in the arc? To me, that was a very important decision by Oda, at least assuming that I'm right. Having Luffy suffer a defeat, and particularly such a brutal defeat early in the arc, fools the reader into thinking that, okay, there was a failure, our hero lost. Now, next time he has to succeed, probably at this final battle that we're leading up to. Probably with the help of allies or whatever, right? But 3 things.
Hawkeye says, Morj, do you think Kaido could get back up and be the one who kicks off the final war like he said in his intro? I refuse to believe his character's done. I think he's done. It's like he's been down for like 5 chapters, dude. Mr. Crescent says, now that I think about it, Gear 5th had very little to do with beating Kaido. It was mainly Ryo and Big Fist. Gear 5th gave him the ability to make a really big fist. I still loved it, though. Just wish it was used more. Yeah, I love the creativity of Gear 5th. At the end of the day, it turned out like the way Luffy actually utilized it to win the fight was basically like a Gear 3rd attack. But I love the initial creativity behind Gear 5th. Will Jack says, I wish I can go back to reading Water 7 again. I swear I didn't expect CP9 to be the shipbuilders. Water 7 had some great twists. I also got goosebumps when Nami told Luffy about Robin, True Intention, the Aqua Lugana crashes in Epic. Yeah, that whole sequence of events is just... To me, that is still peak One Piece, to me. I encourage people to go back and reread Water 7. I think the people have forgotten.
1. Kaido beat Luffy way too early. The major low point of any story needs to happen somewhere in the middle section. 2. The tone after defeat was not what we've come to expect from major failures. Major failures that happened partway through the arc drastically changed the tone, right? The stakes get higher.
Oh, look at this. This is what I'm talking about.
From major failures.
This guy was smart. Look at this
somewhere
kid.
in the middle section. 2. The tone after defeat was not what we've come to expect from major failures. Major failures that happened partway through the arc drastically changed the tone, right? The stakes get higher, characters get more serious.
Look at this serious tone, arc after
Luffy's
arc.
was generally
Oh, but this is Wano. This is what happens once Luffy loses in Wano.
And 3, most importantly, Luffy getting defeated after recklessly attacking Kaido is not the same as failing in the fundamental mission. Remember, the fundamental mission that they think they're going to pull off that is set for us at the start of the arc is defeating Kaido at the Fire Festival. That's what needs to fail. Luffy losing to Kaido once along the way there is just a bump on the road. Same thing applies to what we're seeing right now. At the moment, it looks like
They found out about the mark of the crescent moon and the coded message.
Alliance's plans are being uncovered. Everything might be in jeopardy. Maybe for a bit, it will seem like that is the major low point of the arc. You know, everyone's scrambling to keep the Alliance's hopes alive for this big raid on Onigashima. And that makes sense. Onigashima is 2 weeks away, well, 9 days from now. We still need to have some tension and conflict on the way there. Oda needs to make us feel like we're already experiencing the main struggle of the arc. But no.
Damn, Strahd's being desperate. Weird, says Oswald Clemmy. Yeah.
Just bumps on the road.
It's kind of bizarre. I see the Strahd's actually stressed about some shit.
The raid on Onigashima fails.
Kabuki structure. Oh, man. Didn't mean anything.
Brings me to the Kabuki
this guy doesn't know what he's talking. He doesn't know about Japanese culture.
The first is called Joe, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are called Ha, and then the 5th is called
Even though everything online says it's 5 acts.
The 2nd through 4th acts are where the main action occurs.
He doesn't know.
Now, I see a lot of people saying that everything climaxes in the 3rd act, so people are assuming that since we're in the 2nd act, that once that closes, everything will culminate in the climactic 3rd act, about a week from now, the raid on Onigashima. So that's what a lot of people assume. So actually, from what I've read, the 3rd act isn't the resolution of the plot, which is what the true final battle would be. The 3rd act is simply the most striking moment of drama or tragedy. All Ha acts, so 2 through 4, are the main action of the story. It's just that the 3rd act is where the most dramatic moment is, often a moment of great tragedy, and the 4th act's action is meant to return everything to a more auspicious, a good state. So to be extra sure of this, I went ahead and quickly Wikipedia skimmed the summaries of 2 famous Kabuki.
David Simovich says, what was the failure in Marine Ford? Wasn't that just an uphill battle? Have you forgotten the failure at Marine Ford?
Kabuki plays, and the story definitely does not resolve in their third act. And then I went and watched the video on the Kabuki structure, and it sounds like each of the
Ben Junker says Act 3 still isn't over, LMAO. Yeah, but isn't Act 3, wouldn't it just end as they're exiting Wano? Because Act 1 began as they're entering Wano, right? Like, chapter 908, right before they walk into Wano. Like, opening curtain, closing curtain. Isn't that when it would, close?
acts, the second through fourth acts, each of those acts are action acts. That's where the meat of the story happens. It doesn't just stop with the third act. The third act, again, that's just where the drama or tragedy spikes.
Chino Wong says, come on, even Oda himself says he can't outdo Water 7 any slobby, so stop comparing everything to Water 7 any slobby. I mean, like, it's... How do I say this? When so many people are saying Wano's, like, the best or the top 3 arc, right? Best arcs of the story. Then, if so many people are saying this, I'm not pulling this out of the blue that I'm, like, comparing it to any slobby or Water 7. That's not random. That's like, that's what, for the record, the amount of buildup that Wano had and what the editors, like, if you want to pull up Oda quotes, if you want to say, like, talk about what the editors were talking about with Wano and what Oda was talking about with Wano, yeah, the bar was being set to basically be like, this is going to be better than anything else that comes before. So immediately, the most straightforward comparisons is Water 7 Any Sloppy. So that's the simplest low-hanging fruit that I can talk about, which is like, well, look at how Water 7 Any Sloppy had all of this actual genuine drama, tension, build up, suspense, etc., right? That's the low-hanging fruit. Obviously, it's Water 7 Any Sloppy. Unfair to compare Wano, I guess you could say, even though it should be perfectly fair considering that this was supposed to be the granddaddy of arcs that blew everything in the past out of the water. This is the shit that everything in the New World has been building up to, right? I could pull up like a litany of quotes from Oda himself and his editors suggesting that, yes, this should beat out Water 7 Any Slobby, right? Could, but we're not going to. I just use that as like an easy go-to example. But you can go through arc by arc, Skypiea, Alabasta, Dressrosa, etc. And like that's what I do in this video to a degree. Just like pointing out over and over how each arc did follow a certain narrative flow that established serious tone at certain points, dramatic tension at certain points, some level of defeat or failure that they have to come back to that makes a victory meaningful. So it's not even like just because Water 7 Any Slobby is the best example of that and the highest bar of that, at least in my opinion and many other people's opinions, that doesn't change the fact that like you can go down the fucking list of all major One Piece arcs and they're all going to have something somewhat similar, and then you got Wano as this glaring exception.
So to me, that matches up exactly what I would expect to see if the raid on Onigashima were to end in failure. As I've been saying, there's always a great failure that creates the high stakes, that takes the drama up to 11. It sounds to me like
he doesn't know.
The raid on Onigashima were to end in failure. As I've been saying, there's always a great failure that creates the high stakes, that takes the drama up to 11. It sounds to me like what one would expect of the third act.
No,
the act is the action
not always.
That turns the story from a bad place to a good place by the time of the closing fifth act. So as I see it, this lines up fairly well if we imagine Wano to be a month long. Act 1 was only a day long, but Act 2 is basically almost reached a full week. If we imagine that Act 3 ends at the end of next week, the Fire Festival, then that basically would be the big climactic, dramatic, tragic moment that Kabuki third act would warrant, a massive defeat that drastically changes the story. Then Act 4 would be the heroes having to rise back up from defeat with Wano being liberated by the end of the month. Act 5 would likely be the closing chapters of an arc that we typically get. The last point I want to talk about is where this is all going down. Onigashima makes no sense for the final battle. Why? Because it's too isolated. Again,
I was right on this, kind of.
It's
not really, though.
Whenever there's an island that needs to be saved,
it wasn't in Onigashima at the end of the day, but it was also still in Onigashima.
The citizens, the general populace of the island needs to experience the moment. Like, look through all the major arcs in the entire series where there's a big bad ruler who has taken over. Arlong Park, Skypiea, Thriller Park, Fishman Island, Dressrosa. When the big bad evil ruler goes down, it happens in front of everyone. That's a big...
Andrew Ayanami says he's just a boy, he didn't know any better. He didn't know any better.
There's a sense that the defeat...
He didn't know any better.
So that everyone feels that everyone is being freed of evil. Right now, the plan is just for a group of rebels to go ambush him at Onigashima, like a distant island. No, that doesn't fit as the resolution to this type of arc based on the way Oda likes to do things. I cannot possibly picture a scenario where a group of rebels sails over to Onigashima, successfully pulls off this plan to defeat Kaido, then sails back to Wano, and like tells everyone that Kaido's not the boss anymore.
But they do that. Not literally that, but they do literally do that. They walk over and tell everyone that, hey, Kaido's defeated. I will say, though, I think that Oda did that scene about as dramatically as you could have. That everybody coming back, like, I'll give props where it's due. Like, I like Shin Wano. I like Gear 5th. I thought that it would be terrible to, like, have characters walk over and be like, hey, the bad guys are defeated. You didn't even know anything bad was going on, but there was some bad shit about to happen, and then we stopped it, and we beat the bad guy. Also, Kaido's a bad guy, for those of you who didn't know. And we beat him. And it's a big deal. I thought that it was impossible to do a scene like that well. I thought you could only do it like as a joke like I just did. But in reality, I thought that the chapter that Oda did do for that, I think was it 1051? I think 1051 was like a really good chapter, in my opinion, actually. I thought 1051 was like one of the best chapters in Wano, actually. So the scenario that I thought would be really bad, I thought was executed about as well as you could do it. Van Hort says, is Water 7 Enies Lobby one arc? I mean, it's one storyline. I think it is separating it into 3 arcs. Is like if we separated Dressrosa into Coliseum, Birdcage, and post Dressrosa, it's unnatural. Yeah, I mean, it's all one continuous storyline. It's just like how much do you want to count the location shift? But the storyline's like really, really tightly. It's too tightly bound together, I think, to call it 2 separate arcs, really.
That's just not Oda's style. Terrible
Phantom Greyfriar says the citizens of Wano never stood up for themselves in the end. Kaido was right about them. Yeah, he was.
First of all, needs to be exposed for how evil he is. That always has to happen first. I feel like some of the citizens in the Flower Capital haven't gotten the memo yet. They don't really know.
Oda Kill says, I mean, Oda did that in Alabasta. Alabasta was very different because you still had the climactic, like, they were fighting each other, right? So, like, they knew that there was a huge problem going on. The big reveal was what was the source of the problem, which was basically Crocodile being launched in the middle of the field, King coming out, Igaram coming out, everything, and, like, everything being solved, right? This was a scenario where, like, they were just having a normal festival, and then these guys came over and told them that there was a war going on, and that the bad guy was, like, Kaido was trying to do some bad stuff, but, like, they're heroes, and they all beat up Kaido, and, like, everything's solved now. So it was somewhat different. Like, Alabasta was in the middle, like, the war was the war. The war was, like, everyone knew about the war. It was, like, the centerpiece of everything that was going on. The big reveal was Crocodile's defeat, basically shedding light on everything that happened and the true cause for the war and why the war should stop. So that's just a little bit different. All right.
How bad Kaido is. So first that needs to happen. And then the dramatic.
Chino Wong says, lol, Morj defend Alabasta over Wano. I defended 1051. I thought that, like, that's a, like, I was wrong. I thought that's a good way to, that was a cool way to reintroduce Momonosuke and the Scabbards. I think I just didn't realize that Oda could do, like, a dramatic scene out of it like that.
Contrary to Oda's conclusions, is Luffy defeating the big bad in front of everyone. Kaido goes down in Wano. On the mainland, very possibly in the Flower Capital itself, but who really knows? It's just not happening in some isolated fight on Onigashima.
No, it actually very much happened in a very, very, the most isolated of isolated fights on, well, not on Onigashima, but it was just Luffy and Kaido, Momonosuke and fucking Yamato watching. And then everybody else kind of played telephone with, like, Nekomamushi being like, oh, I saw it, they won. And then everyone else being like, fuck yeah, they won. And then they went over and told the Wano people that they won. So it's kind of like a telephone game to find out that, you know, things worked out. But yeah. I think this was basically it. I think we reacted to the first one. Then we reacted to the first Morj video. Then we reacted to the Morj raid feeling video. I think that that's a good enough place to call the stream as any. Will Jack says Wano has epic moments, but no stakes in storytelling whatsoever. That's how I feel. I definitely agree it had some epic moments. Raftel King says Wano 2 chapters away from being as long as Kingdom's Western Zhao invasion arc. Jeez, I have no point of reference for that. I know Kingdom arcs are, like, longer. I know Kingdom has longer chapters than One Piece, so that's got to be pretty damn long. All right, guys. Creme brulee says one more, but I'm hungry. I'm hungry, guys. Adrian Keene says Wano has some of the best chapters and double page spreads in the series. I'd give, like, a Gear 5th chapter here or there. I like the Odin boiling chapter. Depends how much you count the Odin flashback itself. To me, that's like a during his Roger's adventures, but you can count the Roger laugh chapter. It's a little too separate from the Wano storyline itself for me to think, like, oh, that's really part of my enjoyment of the story of Wano. But I feel I like the Roger laugh chapter quite a bit. Yeah, the Odin flashback had some bangers. Odin himself boiling, Roger, you know. Gear 5th, I've already said, I enjoyed. I think Act 1 had a great chapter when Kaido first met Luffy. All right, guys. Good enough. Good enough. All right, we good? We good? All right, I think we're good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you enjoyed this, then definitely watch out for Morj Unleashed, where the highlights of the stream will be coming out soon. Definitely check out Morj Unleashed in general. I've got to shout out Morj Unleashed every time. I always forget. I'm so sorry to the editors. I've got to shout out Morj Unleashed every time. Go check out Morj Unleashed after this. It's gonna have everything. Video will be dropping in a couple days. Aztec Devices, everyone boo Morj for being hungry. Yeah, you could go ahead. Guma Booma says Wano's the highest highs and lowest lows in my opinion. I don't really like, to me, like, there's many other arcs that have significantly higher highs for me emotionally, hype wise, etc. So for me, that doesn't even really apply. But I can understand why a lot of people feel that way. Papa Dog Sucker says we only watched one video. No, we watched 2 videos. You guys forgot about the first video. We watched 2 videos. Let's not gaslight each other here. We watched 2 videos.